This is Boston's home for sports.
Holiday three. Good night. Jalen forces it up over. Somebody tied it.
Oh! WBZFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The sale of the Celtics is about to be official. Front Office Sports was the first to report yesterday. Incoming owner Bill Chisholm will finalize the deal within the next week, and he and his group now have enough money to cover the entire cost. The sale is reportedly worth $6.1 billion. ESPN reported yesterday Celtics will look at trade possibilities this summer regardless of how this season ends up, and that's because of a massive luxury tax penalty that will be due. Drew Holiday yesterday won the NBA Sportsmanship Award for this season. It's the second time in his career he's won it. On the court, the Celtics finally have an opponent for round 2 of the playoffs. The Knicks got 40 points from Jalen Brunson, including a late tie-breaking 3. They eliminated Detroit in 6 games last night, 116-113. They'll be at TD Garden on Monday night. The Red Sox bullpen imploded again in Toronto. They lost to the Blue Jays 4-2 at Rogers Center. Justin Slayton was handed a 2-1 lead in the 8th inning, but he allowed a 3-run homer to Vlad Guerrero. Sox lose 2 out of 3 to the Jays. They're back home to play Minnesota tonight. Walker Buehler was supposed to start, but he was sent back to Boston yesterday for testing on his pitching shoulder. And in NHL news, the New York Rangers are reportedly close to hiring former Pittsburgh head coach Mike Sullivan and giving him one of the richest head coaching contracts in history. Last night, Toronto beat Ottawa 4-2 to win that playoff series in 6 games. They'll face Brad Marchand and the Florida Panthers next. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT booting up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag.
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that.
Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun. Having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios. You can watch us on YouTube. Do us a favor and subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Hardy is off. Was Lyle Lovett last night?
It was, yes, down in Rhode Island.
Do you know if he ended up taking his son, who didn't want to go?
I don't know.
Because the plan was that he was going to take his son, and then he thought that maybe it would be a quick show. But wait, the show was in Cranston.
Yeah, I thought he was going with his wife.
No. She had some business affair to go to.
Oh.
But wait, if it was in Cranston.
Yeah.
Wait, whoa. Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
If it was in Cranston, which is, from Canton, probably 40 minutes, a half an hour away.
Yeah, that's what he figured out yesterday.
Further.
No, it's not further. It's not
For
further.
instance, south
John.
of Providence.
Nothing. It's like
not
driving
further.
from Andover to Boston.
It's not further.
I heard you, Fred.
Well, it's true. I mean,
I know.
I didn't make it up. You're acting like it was an opinion. It was the reality of what happened. But and it was North Andover. Thank you. Do you
No
live
one could be prouder. And if you can't hear me, I'll yell a little louder. I'm from North Andover,
Okay. Oh, so you are from North Andover.
born and raised.
Oh, okay. North Andover.
Then I turned in the scarlet, red, and black for the Andover Gold and Blue.
Oh, so you moved to Andover.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you live in Andover, which is a little closer than North
Yes, I need to
Andover.
correct you on some things too. My daughter went to the public schools, so we didn't go there for the private schools. That's the
Well,
only
I
reason
didn't
why
say
we're there
you
in
went to the
Andover.
private schools.
Yes, you did. You said
No,
both their
no,
kids
I
went to
didn't.
private.
No,
Go back and listen to the tape.
I said, but the woman said you moved there. They have good public schools. That's why you moved there, which isn't true because you grew up there. So I said, well, that's interesting because both his kids went to private school. Fine, I'm wrong. But then she said, well, his son, she knew this. She's like, his son went to Phillips Academy, so he probably moved there to go to Phillips Academy.
No.
And yes, you have a problem with her, not me.
Both of you.
Okay, thanks. Well, at least you know there's two people that
There's
are guilty.
a lot of us North Shore people. We're fine up there.
I said it was.
I wouldn't call Andover or North Andover North Shore.
No
I mean,
one
let's
said
not,
you weren't
know,
fine, Dan.
call
Play
it?
fast and loose with
Wait,
North Shore.
what shore is it by North Andover?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Part of the Cape Ann League when I was growing up.
So anyway, I said, if you recall, because you heard it, it's a lovely town, and I'm not just saying that. It's like a quaint New England town. It's got, believe me, my whole system crapped out on me, which was giving me directions, so I had to pull over in whatever little town was there. I don't know if it's Andover or North Andover. It was like a quaint little
Scary,
town. Yeah. A lot of foot traffic. And so I had to pull over. I wanted to get a soda, so I went into a big gas station, and they had a sign up that said, "I'm in the bathroom. Be back later." So I had to go somewhere else. But it's it's pastoral. It's it looks like something out of like the Wonder Years, and I understand that would be a nice place to live. It's just incredibly far from here. And here's not even the city. We're in Waltham. It's incredibly far from here. It's just far and difficult to get to. That's all. It took me an hour and a half to get from Newton to North Andover, and if you heard the story, I went to Brooks Academy, I believe is what's
Brooks
there.
School. Yep.
Brooks School.
I used to play basketball there.
And I got there I knew my son wasn't playing in the game. You know the two pitchers for Lawrence, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he ain't starting the non-league game. So I got there, and it was the last out of the top of the seventh, and Lawrence Academy was up. And if I would have gotten there 15 minutes later, I would have missed Milo altogether and had to drive from North Andover to Groton. So I was very fortunate I got there when I got there, because either pick him up at the game, go to the game, and if I know he's not going to play, go to the game and get him at the game, or it's go at night. And then it's iffy if it's me or my ex-wife's time, and I don't want to. I like to keep things copacetic. I'd rather just go get him than go, hey, you got to go get him at 9. She's got a job, and she doesn't want to get him.
I was off Monday, too, so he could have picked me up. I would have taken you on a tour, everything.
If he was pitching, I was going to tell you
Yes.
that he was pitching and that we could do so. You could come meet me at the game, but he was not going to pitch. It was the big star kid was pitching.
They're playing well. What's their record?
Their conference record is, I think, 6-3. They lost to Roxbury Latin. They lost to the one that's by me, St. Sebastian's. St. Sebastian's got a sophomore kid. They can't hit him. He doesn't throw hard. But I guess he won the ISL for them as a freshman.
Wow.
Right-handed kid. I think he's right-handed. He doesn't throw hard, but
usually that's a lefty.
He's very difficult for them to hit. And then they lost to another school. I can't remember, but they've won more than they've lost. But they have a kid that's going to get drafted, and he's a Duke commit, and then they have sits about 94. Oof. And then they have a kid who's a lefty, who's the big starting pitcher for the Canadian national team. So Milo is not as good as them. So he will not be starting those league games. But Milo's a sophomore. We'll see where that goes. But so let's back up here to Hardy's thing a little bit. Is that for some reason you might have even filled in for me when my son had speaking of baseball, he had to be at the airport at 4:20 in the morning to fly out to Florida, and I was taking him. And so I had to get up at because he's a boy, a son, a kid. I felt like I should get up around 3:15 and get him going, and then get him to the airport. I was not going to drive and park and take him down, so we took a lift, and then I took a lift back, which was not controversial. I thought it might have been, but it was not. People kind of understood that in the room. Sometimes my use of lifts is very confusing to people. But it was not in that case. But if you were here the day that I was gone, it was a real topic of conversation.
Oh, yeah. These two, John and Hardy, wouldn't let it go. Why isn't Fred here?
Yeah, and so, my point was, like I got up early, and I didn't want to go to work. I wanted to go home and go to sleep. I didn't want to go to work. So if Hardy went, I would say that, let's be honest, I don't have a problem if Hardy went out last night not coming in. That's why their days off. I wouldn't dream to even question it. But I will question how that's not easier to do, if not, it's certainly not the same. To go out to Cranston, come home, go to sleep, wake up at your normal time, and go to work, than it is to get up, 2 hours before you get up. Usually, an hour and 45 minutes before you usually get up. Send your son off to the airport to go, and then come home and want to go back to sleep. I got less sleep than Hardy would have. Hardy would have seen Lyle Lovett. Lyle Lovett's for old people. He probably went on at 8 at the latest, wouldn't you say, Adam? Lyle Lovett ain't going on at 10.
I don't think so. No, certainly not. And I would say doors at 7, show at 8, but I'll look
Thank you. I would totally agree with that. Like, let's put it this way. Kiss used to go on at like 8. They know their audience. So say Lyle Lovett ends at 10:30. He's home at 11:15. I go to bed sometimes at 11:30. And then Hardy doesn't have to get up at 4. So say Hardy gets up at 4:45.
Yeah, show is at 8 p.m.
Okay, so say he went on at 8:30.
And there's no opener
right
here. So I would say you'd probably 8 on by 8:30 and probably done by 10:30.
Yeah, I would say so too. And
yeah.
so
How long is it from Cranston up here?
Well, Hardy figured it out last night. So Hardy did because this is Hardy, so
bad.
he's Mr. Organized. So like the night before, at the same time he would have been driving, he punched in the directions to see how long, and he said it was going to be 40 minutes.
Right, and then getting back, then it would be even less time because there would be zero traffic at 10:30 at night.
Right.
So look, if he didn't want to come into work today and he took the day off, I honestly don't. It wouldn't even be. I wouldn't even have thought of it. But this whole days and days and days of conversation about why I took a morning off, that I had to go take my son to the airport and he had to be there by 4:20. I didn't know how long I was going to have to stay there until he met his team. It turned out it was 2 seconds. I didn't know, how do you meet a team? I didn't know the team. I don't know anything. It's the first time they're going anywhere together. And that was it. And John, were you questioning it?
Not as much as Hardy was. That sounds like I'm throwing all the blame on him. But I will say this.
No.
I understood why Hardy was questioning it, only because you are already up. Why blow a vacation day if you're already awake at that time? It didn't make any sense to me. It's not like the studio was very far away from where you live. You could have just as easily come here. You might have gotten here a little early. But
little early.
Why blow a vacation day on something like that where you are already awake?
Because that's okay. I'll tell you why. Because if I go there at 4:20 and say I'm home by 5, I was home before 5. I then can go to sleep, and then that day is a Friday, or it was a weekday. Then at that time, then I don't have anything else I have to do that day. I don't have my daughter. I don't have any responsibilities, so I can sleep until whenever I want. I can get up whenever I want, and I can see a woman if I want to. I can see I could see friends. I could go to the gym. I could do whatever I want throughout the whole course of that day.
And see, everybody's different, right? Because
So
I can't fall asleep like that. If I did that, Fred, I would not be able to fall asleep.
Well, I sleep every day. So here's what would happen. If I got up at 3 in the morning, and I'm sure some morning people do for whatever reason. It's insane and unnecessary, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like Dan.
No,
but Dan lives in
TV
Andover.
people.
Well, yeah, you got to do makeup and everything. It's a different job.
The morning people, when they get up at like 2:30.
Right, because they have to do makeup and everything. But the thing is, and they go on at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
But the difference. So if I go and I do the show, first of all, I'm going to be miserable during the show because I'm going to have gotten no sleep. And second of all, and I know it going in, some days you don't get any sleep. Like I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but what are you going to do? Then I'm going to do the show. I'm going to go home. I believe it was a Wednesday. Then I got to go home. I'm going to sleep. Then I got to get up and get Zoe. Then I got to run her around, and that's my entire day. And then I'm exhausted all night, and I won't be able to do anything. I have Zoe till 9 o'clock at night. This way, I switched days with Stephanie, and I had the entire day to myself, which made all the sense in the world to me. But maybe it's easier for you guys to get up in the morning. That's all. I mean, and also you're married with your kids are in the house all the time. Like if I get a day where I don't have anything that I have to do and like I switch days, I mean, okay. If I have a day and I switch days, I mean, if I wanted to see like a woman, like, it could be, if on days I have my kids, it's almost impossible. I could go, and I probably did that day. I can go see a woman and spend a lot of time and do that, have them in the home and everything. They can be in my house. It's quite a treat. So there's things of that nature, but Hardy, I would contend that if I go out on weeknights and get home at 11:30, 11:45 and get up and do the show, that's easier than getting up at 3. Can't make yourself go to bed at 8 to get up at 3. You can't just go, I'm going to bed at 8 and go to bed at 8.
I make myself go to bed at 9 and get up at 4.
I can't.
That's my thing.
You see, the thing is, I don't know about you, Fred, but when I say, okay, this is the night, I'm going to sleep early, I'm going to get 7 hours. I go to bed at 9, I'll wake up at 11:30.
No one can.
I'll wake up at midnight, and then it's another half hour to go back to sleep.
Unless it's your schedule, you can't do it.
I don't know how you do that, 12. I can't do that.
Well, no, because it's his schedule.
Yeah, I said that was when I started this last fall, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it every night, and I pretty much do it every night.
So my father would have to travel like 3 days a week. Great places like Dayton and Chattanooga. So, but his flights would always be at 5:30 in the morning because he would go and he would come back sometimes that night. And I remember him just being miserable, like because he knew he had to get up to go to the airport for a 5:30 flight, so he would just be up smoking and drinking in his bed all night. And
that's a treat.
Yeah, he was real lovely. And and then he would be completely out of it when he came home. He would be so miserable. So maybe that was it. But whatever. What a tangled web we weave. Do you shower in the morning, Adam?
No, I shower. I shower at night, like right before I go to bed.
How long does it take you to get to work?
Oh, it's like less than 20 minutes.
What time do you get here?
I get here a little before 5.
What do you do when you get up in the morning?
I do like Jack LaLanne style workout, like stretches.
So you get up at 4 because
I get up at 4 because I want to get a 20-minute stretch and kind of wake up thing.
Well, that's your decision.
Yes, absolutely.
That's no one else's decision.
But it helps.
You're not up at 4 because you got to run in here and do 2 hours of work.
And there's certainly have been days recently that I've been like, you know what? Maybe I just move this whole Jack LaLanne style workout to later on in the day and I can sleep till 4:30.
That goes well.
Yeah, if you want to get up at 4 because you like getting up at 4, then you get up at 4 all you want. But don't put. At least you're not acting like you're doing it because you're, Opus Dei-ing yourself.
And when I got to beat. No, not at all. When I get in here too, I like the first thing I do is I start working on a music log for the old station down the hall, and I got to like have my brain active enough to be able to do that.
Right, and that's a decision too, because if you wanted to, you could get up later and then do it after the show. I understand.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's a preference. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. But it is interesting that Hardy was just going to a local concert. Like, I went to a comedy show, a late comedy show, a couple Thursdays ago. I didn't get home till midnight.
Who'd you see?
I don't even remember the guy's name. It was at Laugh Boston.
That good, huh?
No, he was fine.
Okay.
I just don't remember the guy's name.
Oh.
Like, it just, I went because someone wanted to go, and I went and I went and I watched him. He was fine. Like, but it wasn't like I was like, I'd never been to Laugh Boston. I don't know if I'd been to a comedy club in Boston since I've been here, which is weird because I used to go all the time when I was in Atlanta.
There are dozens of them. They're everywhere.
Yeah, right. I used to go to the Punchline. But I used to work, not do stand up, but I used to like do stuff at the Punchline in Atlanta,
like host.
Sort of. Nah, not a lot. They usually have like like they did it at Boston too. They have like a local guy. You got to be able to do stand up to do that. And
You ever done stand up?
I have, and I've had good and bad, but they weren't real stand up sets. They were just pretty much improvisational sets or with a very loose outline, and that's not stand up comedy. That's just you couldn't go out and do a week's worth of what I did. Like, it would be a disaster, and I have had it be a disaster. Stand up comedy requires like sitting down and writing, and I don't have the desire to do that. At least now, maybe if radio goes kaput,
How scary is it?
then I
I
would
wouldn't
try.
want to do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to be in entirely the right frame of mind, and you have to talk to a lot of comedians because you have to realize that just sometimes like you're going to bomb, and it's going to be fine. But I did have someone in the year 2000, the New Year's Eve of 1999 into 2000. They told me I had to host a comedy night, and I went up, and I did this like thing, and I was doing like crowd work, and I was being kind of mean, and the woman that was I brought on first said, "Thanks an effing lot." Like, you've destroyed
Killed
the crowd.
yeah.
And it wasn't even like they were mad at me. She was just like, we're being like a huge dick. Because I was nervous and didn't know what else to do. So I was being caustic, and because of my own insecurities. And there you go. That's what
There's a lot of that. Did you ever watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I know what it is. I've never watched it.
Supposedly based loosely on the life of Joan Rivers. And it's just to watch go through that stuff makes you want to throw up. The scariness of it.
All right. Well, look, it's interesting. The double standards that exist around here. SMH. All right. Look, when we come back, a lot happened last night. You know who the Celtics are going to play. Shams Charania had some information about the Celtics going forward. A lot to talk about. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. newsstand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Toucher and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey! We are Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happens. So change your lettuce and change your life at Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Matt, go ahead.
Fred, would you consider your stand-up career retired after bombing at the Chip Chipperson podcast?
That wasn't stand-up. That was just sitting in on the Chip Chipperson podcast with Anthony and Chip. Who's laughing in the background? What are you, this is a prank call?
No, it's the kid from the son of the Atlanta Falcons guy.
I've said, I didn't do well at the Chip.
No, the problem, you were in a tough spot that night, but the real issue is after the second joke that bombed, you just turned on the crowd.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't say a whole lot. I mean, I've heard the podcast. It's not like I talked a lot. I mean, Anthony and Jim have like you're not getting in the way of that. It's not like Sam talked a lot.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? What's this lady in the background?
You're just
laughing?
Naturally funny, Fred.
Yeah, she seems to be getting a
was.
big kick out of everything. But I mean, I didn't know what was going on. I like Jim a lot, and Jim asked me to do it, and I went up there and I read the thing I was supposed to read. And then I sat up there, and it's all improvised, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I didn't have the plan. I didn't know people were getting married that night. That show went on, and he hung up. That show went on for like 2.5 hours.
And how much speaking do you think you did over those 2.5 hours?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. But the crowd did not want to hear from me.
Too much better or worse than the too much tuna?
No, the too much tuna thing went really, really well. But the too much tuna thing...
You see, you say that. That's wild. You came back the next day and you're like, oh, I bombed. And I had people that were there at the Chevalier Theater that night that said you did very well.
It was the Wilbur.
I'm sorry.
The too much tuna thing with Mulaney, it started off, that's different. You're the guest and they're interviewing you and you just have to kind of set them up. I was out there for like 40 minutes. It went well. I mean, they kept me out there for like a really long time. So half hour, 40 minutes for real. So, but I didn't have to do anything. With Chip Chipperson, A, Jim's doing a character. B, that audience is there to see Jim and Anthony. When Anthony Cumia came out, that crowd went absolutely nuts. I sat there, and it's me, Sam Roberts, Jim, and Chip, which is Jim, and Anthony and Chip are flying, and I'm on stage. I don't know what to do, so I just progressively kept drinking and drinking. And I didn't know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so, the crowd didn't want to see me. It was a favor to Jim, and I liked the Chip Chipperson podcast. I loved it, and I loved Jim, but no, I didn't do particularly well. I don't think I ruined the Chip. I mean, they released it. You can go listen to it yourself. I mean, it's not like I was getting, like, the people were walking out, but no, I didn't. I am not on a stage with Anthony and Jim when the crowd is there to see. I mean, when Anthony came on stage, like, the place went ballistic, like standing up the Apollo Theater. People went nuts. No, I didn't do well. I didn't, but that's a fact. But that wasn't bombing because I didn't do stand-up.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I went out with Anthony afterwards. It was fun, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't like I was super funny or anything. I wasn't very good, but I did keep my mouth shut at the end for like the last hour. Chris, go ahead.
Fred, what's up, man? I know it's early. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, you got to keep the Christmas party going.
Yeah.
I know that your counterpart's gone, but I don't care. That was the best night of my life.
Yeah, the Christmas party was a lot of fun. Yeah, let us get maybe by this Christmas, because the show will be about 2 years old by Christmas. I know the Wilbur would love us to do a show, and the show that we would do would be very loose and I think a lot of fun. I have an idea for what we would do, and It's a good paycheck. I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. And if you enjoyed yourself, then all the better. And yes, I have been thinking about that. I would like to do another Wilbur show, but I wanted to get the show off the ground, you know?
Just make sure you keep the roast beef thing in. Got to keep that in.
We did it twice. I think that's enough.
Okay.
I think that's enough. All right. All right. No, listen. The Chip Chipperson podcast thing was not great, but the Too Much Tuna thing went very well. Chevalier Theater was the Chip Chipperson thing.
All right, I had it backwards. Okay.
So, no. The Too Much Tuna thing, I was amazed how well it went. But they're working with you, and that's Mulaney and Kroll. And that's like, Mulaney and Kroll are, you know, they were working, they're best friends from college. They'd been working on that. The crowd's like on their side. They're playing like it's a different vibe. But the Chip Chipperson thing, yeah, they people didn't want me there. You know, and then I turned on the crowd because I thought it would be the funniest thing to do because it was obvious they were not on my side, so I turned on them a little bit. And you know, looking back, probably not the best move in the world. But what are you going to do? That was 6 years ago. All right, go ahead. What happened last evening?
Well,
7 years ago.
Let's start with the Celtics. A story broken by Front Office Sports yesterday afternoon. New franchise owner Bill Chisholm should complete the purchase of the team next week. He's apparently secured the funding to make the purchase for a prize package worth $6.1 billion. Now, the big question is, Fred and Dan, once he takes over, will he and all of his money people that he's bringing with him be able to stomach the nearly $500 million price tag that this roster will cost him in salary and cap penalties? The answer, according to ESPN's Shams Charania, appears to be no.
You're not going to want to hear this. You might start bleeding from your ears. Right now, Boston is fully focused on winning a championship. Like, that is the number one focus, repeating. But I can tell you, the rest of the league is bracing for some level of change to come to the Celtics from their roster this offseason. You know, sources have been telling me for weeks now that the Celtics will be exploring trade options in the offseason.
And truth be told, this was apparently the plan all along.
I think the Celtics knew when they traded for Drew Holiday and they traded for Kristaps Porzingis, they'd be staring at this in the face this summer. You know, none of these changes are at the top of mind for the Celtics now. They can't be. And this is obviously the most talented team in the league. I think a lot of people would agree with that. So these are good problems to have, but the league is bracing for some level of change to come to this Celtics roster in the offseason.
The prime candidates to be moved appear to be Kristaps Porzingis, who has 1 year left on his contract, and possibly Drew Holiday, who has 2 left. Celtics have picks 28 and 32 in the upcoming draft. In theory, Peyton Pritchard could start. Maybe Luke Cornett could get some more time, but there would be a significant drop-off.
Right. We've discussed this. You wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. I mean, you wouldn't keep the roster as is and pay those fines. I wouldn't. No one in the audience would. There's not an owner in the league that would. It's $500 million. That's ridiculous. That's losing a lot of money. I know that these NBA teams are worth a lot of money, but the guy just bought it for – I'm not positive the Celtics sell for a lot more than he bought them for. There's going to be a time where like franchises stop exponentially growing in value.
It has to be, right?
And like what did he buy it for?
$6.1 billion.
It could be over 7 by the time it's done.
With no arena?
I was just going to say you have to remember another $1 billion for an arena somewhere in Boston.
So my point is this: is that if anyone on this station or anywhere else starts killing the new ownership for, trying to get under that apron.
Right.
Yeah, really dismantling, getting rid of everything, ruining all your chances. Dismantling, and I know John agrees, and I'm sure you agree too, Dan. That's just phony bull BS. Like, it's way too much money, and you can't afford it.
And the other part of it is, and Shams just said it there, when the Celtics made all these moves and re-signed Drew Holiday, that mammoth contract, and paid Kristaps Porzingis, when that happened, everybody knew that this summer was going to be the summer that they were going to have to do something. This was before they won any championships.
And Wick told everybody that too.
Yes.
Same type of thing.
None of this is a surprise. The rumors were, if Steve Pagliuca manages to put things together, he'll stomach that.
No.
He's been here.
No.
And that's just not true. $500 million is a lot of money.
And by the way, like, if you keep Tatum and Brown, that's sports. You have 2 incredibly high-paid stars, 2 of the highest-paid guys in the league. Is Tatum the highest-paid guy?
Close.
Okay, so like two of the top-paid guys in the league. You got them probably for the rest of their careers, at least for their entire primes. And then, you got to figure things out around it. And that's part of what's fun about sports, too, is that, you got this window with a certain group, but you can keep those core pieces. They're still young. And then you figure it out. Yeah, you can't. And what are you saying to me? If without Drew Holiday, now all of a sudden, like, you can't win a championship, like it's over? Like, your team's not as good, but it's not like you're in a disaster situation where you're rebuilding.
Yeah, you've got a window, right? That's what you have. And you hope to keep that window going as long as you can.
But they're not going to have to rebuild for another decade. So they're fine.
As long as you have Tatum and Brown, you have a chance. The question is, how good is the supporting cast? The supporting cast will never be as good as it is right now.
Right.
But the supporting cast should be decent and keeping them at a high level for the next 5 years at least.
And I think Brad does a good job of identifying what's working in the NBA now as opposed to a year ago, 2 years ago, because things continue to change. He'll identify that, like he brought in Porzingis for a specific reason. He'll do the same with what he can do as far as maneuvering is concerned. He's been very good at that. So it's kind of how you have to look at it as a Celtic fan. If you keep, like you said, Fred, if you keep Tatum and Brown, you're in good shape. Right, that's the way to go forward, and then you just have to figure out the pieces around.
All right, do you want to stop here, or do you want to do the Knicks and Pistons?
We'll do
now?
the Knicks and Pistons coming up.
Okay.
If we don't get to the Red Sox, I apologize mightily to Roach.
That's okay.
Feel free on a day like today, Freddie. We're all mourning.
It is. It was a tough one last night.
It was.
Everyone was crying. I was out to dinner, and everyone was watching the game was in tears.
What the?
Wait a second. I thought you were going to win. And you didn't. All right, what did you have? One more thing?
Just one more thing. Drew Holiday won the Joe Dumars Trophy for the NBA Sportsmanship, the Sportsman of the Year award. It's the second time he's won this, so everybody loves him.
Seems like a good guy. Mm-hmm. And certainly adds to a winning culture. There's no question. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics sale will reportedly be finalized next week. Front Office Sports is reporting that a group led by Bill Chisholm has amassed the capital they need to officially take over. Sale is expected to be worth $6.1 billion. ESPN is also reporting the team is expected to make roster changes during the upcoming offseason. Celtics open up their second-round playoff series Monday night at TD Garden. They will play the Knicks. Knicks beat Detroit last night 116-113 to take that series in 6 games. Red Sox lost in Toronto again 4-2 at Rogers Center. Vlad Guerrero, the game-winning 3-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Red Sox host Minnesota today, and the New York Rangers are reportedly close to hiring former Pittsburgh Penguins head coach Mike Sullivan. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Hardy is not here. John, what's going down?
Celtics now have an opponent for round 2 of the playoffs, Fred.
Backing down to Sar Thompson at the logo. Plenty of time left. We're tied at 113 here in Game 6. Brunson between the legs dribble. Gets rid of Thompson. Walk-up three-pointer. He got it! The clutch player of the year will not be denied.
That is Knicks radio. Knicks closed the game on an 11-1 run. They won in Detroit 116-113 to take that series in 6 games. Jalen Brunson shook off Asar Thompson, who had played fabulous defense the entire night. Thompson almost fell down. He made that shot with 4.3 seconds left to win it. He finished with 40 points. And the Knicks will be at TD Garden for a game 1 of the best of 7 on Monday night. Malik Beasley had an open look to possibly tie the game for the Pistons after Brunson made that shot, but couldn't handle a pass from Cade Cunningham and lost the ball out of bounds.
I had an opportunity to maybe tie the game. Mad about that. Sucks, but, hell of a year. Hell of a year.
Are there any regrets about how it ends?
Catch the ball, make 3. We had the lead in the fourth quarter. I think we could have been better at executing, but all that doesn't matter. Like I said, a hell of a year.
Celtics won all 4 meetings with the Knicks during the regular season, and the Pistons had that game last night.
Okay. So I bet on the game when they were down 12 in the first half for the Pistons to win, and then they were up with like 2 minutes to go in the fourth.
They were up 7 points with 2.5 minutes to go.
And so I watched the fourth quarter of that game, and look. This is the good thing about the NBA is that Pistons team isn't ready. Cade Cunningham had a chance for another layup at an end of a game that I don't know how he even missed the rim. He missed the rim. He put it off. He made a move to the basket. There was no one touched the ball, touched his arm, and the ball went off the backboard like he wanted it to, and it completely missed the rim. So, Beasley dropping that ball, I mean, the chances of him making that 3 are very slim. So, look, Brunson's clutch. The Celtics most likely sweep the Knicks. The Knicks aren't a good team. Brunson is unbelievably clutch. He made a layup under the basket with under 2 minutes left where
almost fell down.
Schroeder couldn't have played better defense.
Yeah.
He just was all over him under the basket, and Brunson like a skateboarder, like landing, like his legs completely bent. Anyone else would have fallen down, and Schroeder just was staying with them, but there was nothing he could do. He made that layup. Then the Knicks, then Brunson missed a mid-range shot, and I think it was Beasley didn't block out. Who was the guy who scored all the points? But not Brunson, the other one you just said for the Knicks.
Bridges?
No.
Bridges had a tip-in.
Bridges, yeah. So no one blocks out Bridges. He gets that tip-in.
Yep.
Thompson has 2 free throws at the end. He bricks 1. There's a lot of things. The Pistons just aren't. They're a team. If I was a Pistons fan, I'd be very excited about the future of the team.
Then, truth be told, the Pistons should have won this series.
Yeah, they should have won the series.
Should have won it in 6. They got robbed by the refs, and they should have won last night.
Right, and then they had every game was close, and they gave it away. Like the Pistons just aren't ready. They just weren't ready to play in the clutch in those games. I think the Pistons are a better team than them, than the Knicks.
Well, they appear like they're ready to, like you said, ready to climb that ladder, make mistakes, lose, get better.
So when I'm hearing from Beasley at the end, I think is good. It's a hell of a season, and they no one expected them to make the playoffs. They didn't expect to make the play-in, let alone make the playoffs. Cade Cunningham is a star now, not a star that can finish games in the playoffs, but a star.
But you see it with all NBA stars, all NBA teams. They have to go through something like this before they get good. Next year, I would imagine the Pistons win at least one playoff series if they stay healthy.
And they get Jaden Ivey back, and he's a scorer, which is something they need. They're a very physical team. They obviously have good coaching.
Yeah, he's good.
So, I mean, if you're a Pistons fan, you have to be not heartbroken about what happened because, look, they were going to get killed by the Celtics no matter what.
I didn't want, but I said it all along. I wanted no part of Detroit in this next series.
No, the Pistons might have won a game. The Knicks, they're going to sweep the Knicks. And it's going to be great because then the Knicks, stupid Knicks, because then you'll have the Knicks and the Lakers out and everyone can relax.
By the way, all chalk in the East in the first round. Knicks are the only favorite, only higher seed that needed more than 5 games to win. So top 4 seeds move through to the next round. Celtics play the Knicks on Monday night.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's fairly obvious it will be a Cavaliers-Celtics series with maybe starts earlier than normal. Maybe there won't be a ton of time off because both teams sweep.
It's true.
But I will say this. The fallout from the Lakers losing, did you hear that J.J. Redick not only threw a tantrum after the game,
Yes.
that before the game, when he was being interviewed by TNT or whatever, Reggie Miller had to calm him down because he was spazzing out in the pregame. J.J. Redick has got to get his life together. Again, J.J. Redick doesn't seem to have the temperament for this kind of pressure.
The holier-than-thou act that he has used, and we talked about this yesterday, all those years of getting verbally abused by fans because he went at Duke and because of the way he carries himself, it's left some lasting damage. This guy is so defensive. At the drop of a hat, he assumes he's under attack. And he's in Los Angeles? Oh, man. If you have LeBron as your best player, first of all, it's assumed that LeBron's running the team anyway, regardless of what it is you do. So you got to walk in knowing that. I mean, there are some guys that can adapt, like Ty Lue, for example, who is great because he understood his role. And there are other guys, like, what was it, David Blatt, whatever it was? he lasted 1 season because he tried to take over the team and do things his way.
What is I'm asking this, and I'll ask this to Roach. What is the harm if they go to you in a pregame thing that's not live, that they're just talking to you? It's not even used on the air.
Yeah.
And you say to the guy, like, why did you play your starters for the whole second half? And the guy flips out and gets defensive. What is the strat? Is there a mental game to that? Like there's a reason that they won't go, yeah, maybe that wasn't the right decision, or this is why I did that. Why just get defensive and argumentative at that point?
I think in it, probably the coach's mind, they're trying to move on, right? They're trying to just...
Yeah, but wouldn't it be the easiest way to move on?
Yes.
Is that it just happened?
Yes, and I just got caught up in the moment. Those were our guys.
Or
they were
here's
playing,
why I did it. Well, here's why I did it.
Yes.
Like,
most good coaches will say, Fred, that I've encountered over the years will say, they might even say to you, ask me why you did this. And because they want to explain their reasoning. Terry Francona used to say that to me all the time. Hey, Rochi, if nobody asked, could you please ask me why I threw this reliever in this situation and everything else? I've got an explanation. They all have explanations. I don't know about, what he was thinking at that point, but
it's just such a character flaw to not, because even you don't have to admit you're wrong. I mean, because you were, but I mean, it's obvious you lost.
Right.
So
but
you
say,
weren't right.
Yes.
So you can go, here's what I was thinking. Da 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 da
right.
da da.
And it's out there. And then you just
I felt we needed to win this game. Like
right.
if we didn't win this game, that we weren't going to win the series. Like we were in a position where I thought this was a must-win game. Here's why I thought so. Blah 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 blah.
And it would have made all the sense in the world too if he had said it that way.
Right. And so I don't understand, because you're self-sabotaging. When it comes out that Reggie Miller says, I had to calm him down, you seem out of control. Like you seem like flawed, like you can't handle the job. It's interesting when people don't realize that. Just you're not only have to be vulnerable or say anything, you just go, here's why I did it.
Yes. There has to be a reason, right?
Right. And then it like this, that it's nobody's business nonsense. Well, it's people paying to watch it. It's the people.
Now,
if it's nobody's business, then go play at the Y and play for pride.
Exactly. Now compare that to what he said yesterday, Fred. He's talking about like what he's saying, why he's saying it. There's a reason he's saying he's panicking. This was him yesterday. We have a ways to go as a roster. Certainly there are individuals that were in phenomenal shape. There's certainly other ones that could have been in better shape. That's where my mind goes immediately, is we have to get in championship shape. We know what he's talking about right there.
Yeah, he's going after Doncic,
yes.
and what did they think they were getting with Doncic? They were getting a guy who just got traded from a team when he's going to be one of the top scorers in NBA history because he's out of shape.
25, right? Not out of shape.
And how is he going to get him in shape? How is J.J. Redick going to get Doncic in shape? Is he going to meet him every day in the park?
L.A. Fitness?
Yeah.
L.A. Fitness?
Yeah, this summer, are they just going to go out to the park and, like, run hills every day?
That's the other thing. I mean, you with Jason Kidd, you have a Hall of Fame point guard, guy who plays the same position as you do, and Kidd couldn't get him into shape. So now you go to J.J. Redick, who you respect less, and he's going to do the job?
J.J. Redick, you want a bold prediction? When LeBron retires, the first move that team makes is to get rid of J.J. Redick.
Oh, sure. The only reason he has the job is because he co-hosted a podcast with LeBron.
Yes.
So, yes. I would say that's not a bold statement at all. That's probably fact.
Arrogance is never a good trait, and it's never a trait of, like, someone with confidence or someone with intelligence. But especially in the face of an obvious mistake.
Okay. Well, I'll disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, this whole affectation of being so smart. Like, all right, dude, you played basketball at Duke, and then you were a pro basketball player. I mean, you didn't write the great American novel, you know. Cold fusion didn't come out of your brain. You know, you've coached 1 year of NBA basketball, and now all of a sudden you're this blasé, like, arrogant, been there, done that guy. How many championships does Redick have as a player?
That's a very asinine way to talk about the NBA.
I mean, he was on a lot of bad teams.
Maybe one? I'm trying to think. Did he win one?
I'm not positive he won one. You'd know better than me. But he was on a lot of bad teams, and I know that because he was on an Orlando Magic team that I sat courtside to watch.
Yeah.
And that was when the Celtics were very bad. I don't think he's won a title.
No.
So I don't know where all this chutzpah comes from.
That's a great question.
It's a great question. And his big dropping the mic thing at press conferences, like that's really mature too.
I don't even think.
How about stand up and throw the chair? That's better than dropping the mic and walking away and throwing a fit. You're a man in your late 30s, early 40s.
I don't even think he won one at Duke.
He had one appearance in the 2009 finals, is what Ryan is saying.
With Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay, so he never won a championship.
Oh, that was the Orlando team that beat the Celtics. I remember that without Garnett. Yeah.
Look, he was a very good player, a great college player, and who had a very long NBA career.
He's made a lot of money.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's smart.
No, I think it does.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. Okay, we'll be back. After all, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson was a big player at Oklahoma. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Bert Breer will join us for an hour.
Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
A lot of news surrounding the Celtics this morning, even though they're off through the upcoming weekend. Front Office Sports is reporting that incoming owner Bill Chisholm is expected to finalize the sale of the team from Wyc Grousbeck next week. He's put together enough money to get the deal done. The sale is worth $6.1 billion. ESPN reported yesterday the team is also expected to look for trade possibilities this summer to change the roster, and Drew Holiday won the NBA Sportsmanship Award for this season. At the NBA playoffs, the Knicks got 40 points and a tie-breaking three from Jalen Brunson with 4.3 seconds left. They beat Detroit 116-113. They win that series in 6 games. They will be at TD Garden for game 1 of the best of 7 on Monday night. Red Sox lost in Toronto again 4-2 at Rogers Center. Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th off Justin Slayton to win it in front of Alex Cora.
He didn't finish at bats. 1-2 hit, 1-2 double at Vladdy 0-2. 3-2 homer. Usually he puts them away. He didn't tonight.
Brian Bayo starts against Minnesota at Fenway Park tonight. Walker Buehler was supposed to go, but he flew back to Boston after having his pitching shoulder looked at yesterday. Also, catcher Yasmani Grandal will stay at AAA Worcester past his opt-out date to get more at-bats. And in NHL news, the New York Rangers are reportedly close to hiring former Pittsburgh Penguins head coach Mike Sullivan and giving him one of the richest head coaching contracts in NHL history. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Asphalt Engineering. Paving mass in Rhode Island since 2005. They're MassDOT certified and offer a 3-year warranty on all new driveways and parking lots. 877-411-PAVE or asphaltengineering.com. Still kicking asphalt after 20 years. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
Fred, what's it like to work with Hardy and Wallach?
What a golden ticket I've gotten.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sports Hub.
Once you get new staff, new players, you want to show them, hey, it's not relaxed time. I think once they're going to be the starter, just keep things pushing forward and but saying more than in whether in walkthrough or little things like that, just kind of build that and not focus too much on it. Just hopefully kind of help.
I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say think back 22 years ago to keep it on track. The birth of a child on the 8th of October.
All right. We are Toucher and Hardy. Dan's in for Hardy. It's a Friday, so Bert Brewer is kind enough to join us for an hour. Of course, he's the senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for the MMQB. I don't know really what you've gone over. I haven't talked to you since the draft. I talked to you off the air yesterday. But
yeah, how was following the draft for you? You were on vacation, right? So did you actually...
It's funny. I
know you love the draft.
I do love the draft. I was out to dinner with my daughter in the Bahamas, and we left the restaurant and walked back to the room. It was probably about a mile back to the room. Walked back to the room, got in the elevator, got up, and it was the commercial break before the Jets pick. And then when the Jets picked, the excitement. The excitement.
The Missouri right tackle, just what you were looking for.
Well, it's probably like a good pick and everything.
No, I think it's a great pick. I think it's exact. I mean, honestly, if you look at the best teams, we've been over this talking about the Patriots pick, but look how deeply invested the Eagles are in their offensive line. Look at the Chiefs, how their success and relative failure over the last 5 years, whether they win a championship or not, has generally hinged on whether or not their offensive line is playing well. Their 2 Super Bowl losses were 100% because of the offensive line.
And then the Patriots went left tackle, and you have an edge rusher and a defensive tackle. 3 of those guys.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So Membu's,
did you watch his high school tape?
The idea you could have, I did not know.
Oh.
He was like a tennis player in high school. You know that?
I didn't know that. But
yeah.
Membu's, I told Hardy to watch it, and he started laughing on air. Membu's, it looks like The Blind Side. He's
just doesn't know what he's doing? Or?
No. He's quadruple the size of anyone else that he's playing against. There's a play where he takes a kid and runs him 20 yards down the field and throws him out of bounds.
You know what the best version of that is Derrick Henry's high school
tape. That's what I compared it to.
Derrick Henry's high school tape. It's in Division 12 in Florida.
It's the same thing.
It's like schools that borderline probably should be playing 8-man football, and Derrick Henry is legitimately twice the size of everybody else out there.
It's the offensive line equivalent of Derrick Henry. Like, I don't know where he played high school football. Like, who knows? But, like, it's pretty funny. He's a large man. Anyway, I got to ask you this because you talk to GMs and coaches and stuff, and especially with this draft, you'll see guys, and I appreciate all they do because it's a lot of fun, but you'll see writers grade drafts and grade picks and stuff. And especially with this draft, I mean, they're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
People are pretty consistent about the Patriots having a good draft, but they're all over the place. What do the GMs and like coaches say about guys like Kuiper and that? Like, do they pay any heed to that, or I know they don't make decisions based on it, but like.
No, I mean, but I do think that those jobs have evolved now, and I think Mel's a little different, but like guys like Daniel Jeremiah and Todd McShay, in a lot of ways, are sort of like me. They talk to a lot of people, and you know, DJ is somebody I worked with DJ at NFL Network, and so they trade information with those guys the same way they trade information with me, and I think in a lot of cases, like they'll look at like the way. DJ in particular, Mayock was the king of this.
Yeah,
like, Mayock knew everyone, and Mayock did his own evaluations and was really good at it. But like Mayock had like the league consensus too. That was why he was always sheepish about. And I love Mike. I worked with Mike. He was great to work with, but like Mike was always sheepish about doing rankings because it was like he didn't want to break the trust that the teams had with him, you know? And so it's like I don't want to do a mock draft because I know who that team's picking. So like what do I do? You know, what do I so like and there's always that balance I think that we all have with that, like where we're balancing what we know and respecting relationships and everything else, and that stuff's
Does lying go on? Is there any lying?
I think you get to a point where I've gotten to the point with most of the people that I talk to where they'll know, just don't lie to me, right? Like, and I think that the mistake people make is they think that like, oh yeah, like this team's lying to you about what they want to do or what they're going. They don't really. It's not how it works. It's not like this person telling me, okay, like this is who I'm going to take if they're on the board. I have a few people that will tell me that like there were a couple like last week where I legitimately didn't mock guys to teams because I knew they liked them, and I was, you know, I kept
first round.
I kept quiet on it. I kept quiet on it. Like, but there's other like most of the like a lot of the other cases. What'll happen is, and a lot of times those people I have relationships with for 15 years, and like it's just there's different levels of it. You know?
Trust, right?
Yeah, and so like, but there's others where it's like, you know. I'll hear from 5 teams that, like, the Membu thing's a perfect example. Everyone mocked Tyler Warren to the Jets. I mocked Membu to the Jets. Well, that was the reality of, I talked to all 32 teams, multiple people with a bunch of teams, and I'm putting puzzle pieces together, and so I'm hearing what the league is hearing. You know what I mean? Like, so these teams chart everything. They chart 30 visits. They chart like who had private workouts, combine interviews. They'll ask the other, like, so they're all trying to figure out the same thing that I'm trying to figure out, which is who's going where. So people ask me, it's like, why would a team tell you what they're doing? For the most part, they don't. It's more, all right, like these 7 teams think this team is doing this, so I do too. And then maybe I'll have a conversation with somebody from that team where I'll notice something, and it'll be like, they'll shut up all of a sudden when I start talking about a player. You know what I mean? Like, so some of it is instinct and sense and everything else. And, you know, I like a lot of it, like I tell people, like, read my mock draft too. Don't just read the names, because in the blurbs, I'll usually have information in there. Like one last week was like Seattle. I had them taking, Gray Zabel, who they wound up taking in the first round. And then the blurb I think this could also be Nick Emanwari from South Carolina, the safety. Well, they traded up for him in the second round. So, like, that's sort of what I'm looking to do is I'm trying to figure out who likes who and put them in the best order I can. And that information trade happens. And I think guys like Mayock and DJ, like, they, like, and McShay, and, you know, they become conduits of information, too, to some degree. So, like the teams are looking at them and saying like, okay, like this is like more or less like a league consensus. Like their top 50 can become a league consensus because those guys aren't evaluating the players for single teams or single systems. Those guys are evaluating the players based on like all 32.
Okay, so, were you surprised, just for instance, you said the Jets taking Tyler Warren. Were you surprised that Tyler Warren wasn't the first tight end taken?
A little. Not really. I thought this was something I wrote during the week that like him and Colston Loveland were different players. And I ran into more people in the couple weeks leading up to the draft again when the evaluations are complete where that liked Loveland over Warren. The reason why, Loveland's a better athlete. He's 2 years younger. And he is a route runner. Like, so with Loveland, you were kind of getting Travis Kelce. And I'm not saying he's going to be, like the greatest tight end of all time.
A more refined receiver.
But like just a guy who's like a big receiver playing tight end who has that sort of skill set. Like if you watch Michigan and Penn State, you'll see Loveland's catches. He's wide open. Right? Warren's catches, he has like 3 guys hanging on him. So that was the difference between the two is Loveland was the better route runner. Now, Warren's like a Swiss Army knife. You can snap the ball to him. And like
plus Warren was the only weapon on that team.
That's the reason there were 3 guys on him.
And that was
the only threat.
And that was part of it. But Warren's not as good not seen as being as good an athlete as Loveland, but in the open field he's a menace. Like, you can get the ball to him a million different ways. Like, Shane Steichen, and you remember all the stuff he did up for all those years in Philly and the stuff now he's doing in Indy with the quarterbacks and everything. Like, he's going to have a creative way to use them. So I think those two, it's going to kind of come down to what you run and how you use it.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much is system with some of these picks?
Like those, and that Rochi is sort of part of it this year in general. Is like, we've talked about the flaws with a lot of these guys, like, I'll just tell you right now, like Jalen Walker was a great example of it. Like Jalen Walker was the guy who could have gone 4th, 5th, wound up going 15th. And Jalen Walker, for some teams, was the 3rd or 4th best player in the draft. And I talked to other teams who thought he was a 2nd rounder. But that was this year's draft. Like that was right. Because like all these guys, we've been obsessing over Will Campbell's arm length. The reality is once you got past Hunter and Carter, every one of these guys had some sort of flaw that would probably knock them into the bottom half of the first round in some years, where you would say, and once you get to that point, right, like once you get past the super elite, that's really what it becomes anyway. It's like, it's just how each player fits with each team, each system, all of that. Like once you get past the super elite, where it's like, this guy can play for anyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get into that faster than people realize.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the quarterback situation. I'm interested in what you're hearing happened in Cleveland. Not so much we can get into later why Shedeur fell. But, in the 3rd round, Cleveland takes the Gabriel kid, the quarterback out of Oregon. And he's small, and, I don't know if a lot of people had him slotted to go in the 3rd round. And then they turn around in the 5th round, and they take Shedeur Sanders, much to the delight of a lot of people that mock drafts, which is funny to me because, well, that's great. You got value with Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, but then you peed away a 3rd-round pick on a kid that best-case scenario is going to be a backup.
Yeah.
And then that whole notion of, well, you got to pay backups a lot of money in the NFL. Well, yeah. Like, there's no guarantee this. So now you have a quarterback room with 5 guys in it. Who made the Shedeur Sanders pick at 5, in your opinion, for Cleveland?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Do you think it's Jimmy Haslam?
You hear stuff. Like, I don't know for sure. But, like, I don't think there was, like, a consensus, like, on taking him. And I think that's why they didn't take him earlier. I know it's something that they had discussed and gone over, and obviously they had 2 shots at quarterbacks at the top of the 2nd round with the 33rd and 36th pick. They wound up taking a linebacker, Carson Schlesinger, and they took a running back in Quinshon Judkins. So it's not like Cleveland didn't have chances to go in on quarterback earlier. Now, I would say, I think most people just look at Dylan Gabriel and are like, what the, because they look at him physically, right?
He's 5'11", 200.
Okay, so how much smaller is he than Shedeur?
Not much smaller, but here's
2
my
inches.
here's my thing,
2
Bert,
inches.
is that if you take Dylan Gabriel, fine. But when you take Dylan
Taking
Gabriel in
both
the
is the
third
issue.
round,
Yeah.
and then you take Shedeur Sanders 2 rounds later.
And there's the context, too, of the fact that it was their final pick. That fifth rounder they took Shedeur with, they didn't have another pick after that, so that was going to be their last shot at him. And,
So one of them's not going to be on the team in 2 years.
Yeah, and the problem, the big problem that's going to come for Cleveland now is how you divvy up reps, because you have only a limited amount of work that you can do in the spring by rule, and now you have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett who are coming in trying to win a job and have like the same guarantees in their contract, so there's the same penalty for walking away from either of them. And then you have the 2 rookies. You have Deshaun Watson, who's not going to practice, obviously, because he's still hurt. You have a new offensive coordinator in Tommy Rees. You could say, okay, well, Joe Flacco has been there, so maybe you limit his reps. But do you think he's going to want to do that, knowing, like, if I give these guys work with the new offensive coordinator, they're going to get ahead of me. I could get cut because of it.
Right.
Like, you guys remember how maniacal Tom Brady was about not giving reps.
Yeah.
And Brady was somebody who didn't have to worry about it as much. Joe Flacco, like, very easily could be cut at the end of the summer, like, with a very low cost to the team. So how do you work out the reps like that? I mean, for me, like, I can't imagine a coach would invite all of that, but and it does feel like ownership to some degree, just in that there's like, let's throw every dart we can at getting this right because we screwed it up so badly with Sean.
Okay, let's take a break, and I want to talk a little bit about Shedeur Sanders moving the draft. We can talk some about the Patriots. So that's been over. We've been over that a lot. But and then we can get Bert's take on the big affairs going on in North Carolina.
Your favorite story ever?
It's the Bruins
Not just
winning.
his, mine, everybody's.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
It's been an interesting week.
we'll play the John Mulaney bit again before we get into it. But I told Bert this off the air yesterday. It's the Bruins winning in 11. That was the best thing that happened. Wow. And this is the second best thing that happened. And someone sent an email that said, maybe this, Fred, is God's way because of your new righteous path, God's way of repaying you for Deflategate.
Well, this is ongoing, too, so it still could pass the Bruins, right?
Yeah, the Bruins was like pure fun, and I got to be on the duck boat and everything, and it kind of legitimized the station. And I was so close to that team that.
So it'd be hard. It would take something really big happening.
But in terms of a guy getting his comeuppance and someone who acted intellectually superior, and I'll tell you this, Bert. The great thing about this is not so much even what's happening out there for the public to consume. It's all the people that were around him or are in his life now that I'm hearing about saying, wait a second, Bill's not so smart. And here's why I've known it. So like all these people now are coming out and saying, I almost feel righteous because everyone that I hear from is like, oh no, he's a whole huge dick that's terrible to everyone. And people in his orbit, not overly thrilled with him. So I am enjoying this because I did not like him when he was here, and I found him to be, I don't like that bullying arrogance. Now you could say, Fred, you're a bully who's arrogant. I've told you plenty of my flaws.
Yeah, you are.
I've told you plenty of things. I've made more mistakes than anyone. I know what I don't know, believe me. I am the least perfect person on the planet. I never pretended to be. This is fantastic. I really do love it, but we will be back in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
Oh, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Yeah, I texted Joe. Me and Joe, we came in together. We learned the offense together. We were competing every day to see who out throw each other and practice. And obviously he's got a big arm. It's cool for him to get a chance to go hopefully.
Bert talked about Bert talks to the reason we have Bert on. We like him, but he's the guy that we know most intimately that talks to all the GMs and coaches and has the most connections. So you had been saying well before the draft that, teams don't look at Shedeur Sanders as a first-round talent. So that explains him falling out of the first round. It explains him falling out of the second round. So people, and I get it because Shedeur Sanders was a huge star and a big deal and the biggest deal going on in the draft. He falls, but now the explanations. Something just came out theorizing that people had heard that coaches didn't want to take Shedeur Sanders because they felt that if they took him and started him, that would open the door for Deion becoming the head coach of the team. And why is there all this need to make excuses for Shedeur Sanders? Like, why does everyone feel... I feel bad for him. I have no ill feelings towards him. I honestly don't. Like, I found it interesting he was falling in the draft. It made me pay more attention to the draft. I certainly found no joy in it, and I think I
had record ratings for day 3.
I imagine, I had it on in the car. I imagine I'm in the vast majority. Is that like I don't think people were. There's this notion that people were like incredibly invested in him not getting drafted as the public. And I don't think that's true. Colorado, the games would be on, but who cared? Right. They didn't play in the playoffs. They didn't make any noise. Like, Deion did a great job with that program. Travis Hunter was phenomenal and won the Heisman. Shedeur Sanders was whatever. Like, I contend that this notion that he was hated and then there was all this Schadenfreude. Thank you. I can never pronounce it. About him. I fight back against that a little bit. I don't think that nationally that's the case. So that is why it's so interesting to me that people look at Mel Kiper had some weird thing going on. I have to imagine he has a relationship with Deion or something, something was on the line there. He gave up a lot of credibility with his carrying on. In Mel Kiper's been wrong a lot.
Yeah.
And especially about quarterbacks. Didn't he say he would retire if Jimmy Clausen didn't become an all-time quarterback? He did. As a matter of fact, I don't have to ask you that. He did say that.
Yeah, okay.
You can find the video. He said, I will quit if Jimmy Clausen doesn't become a good quarterback in the NFL. Mel Kiper had something side going on with that thing. Why the need to explain there was a conspiracy?
So I think there's a couple reasons for that. Like, number one, Deion isn't just a Hall of Fame player. He is so iconic in the football community, right? Like, and I think that there's that piece of it, which is like, it's hard to explain. Like, so I worked with him when I was at NFL Network, and Deion, like, I would walk into a locker room with the mic flag, and after I got done with an interview, the last thing a player would say to me over and over and over again, make sure you say hello to Prime for me. Like, they all revere him. And he's almost like a cultural icon to them beyond sports, right?
Can I interrupt you one real quick? Do yourself a favor if you're listening to me right now and watch Deion being interviewed after he was drafted. He is a Jerry Curl, many chains, and they go, hey, you got drafted by Atlanta. That's the team you wanted to go to. He goes, yeah, I wanted to go to Atlanta, Tampa Bay. And they said when the Lions took the other Sanders, Barry, when the Lions took the other Sanders, how were you happy? He's like, man, if I was so happy if the Lions drafted me, they would have had to put me on layaway. He's sitting there with sunglasses on and all these chains. It's fantastic. All right, go ahead.
So I think there's that part of it. Like, and I think I would even say some people like looked at it and said, like, I feel like I talked to other people who do this, and like I got to put him somewhere in my mock draft because I don't want to deal with the blowback. Now, I didn't wind up putting him in the first round, and I got stuff for
that you were racist?
There was just so much.
Is it that you're racist if you didn't put him in?
Like a hater or whatever. I don't know. About,
because the notion of the racicism I find odd because 2 black quarterbacks went before him. So that's a little interesting.
Right. So
it's not like they're humble, groveling kids, but go ahead.
Yeah, so there's just this weird thing that was happening around him, and like he was feeding into it too, like with the cameras following him around and everything else. And I personally think so. You're right to look at it that way, Fred. The first 2 rounds were about talent and performance. Once he fell further than that, it became about everything else. And I've said this going back to Tim Tebow and Colin Kaepernick, and it's reality. Starting quarterback is not the same job as backup quarterback. That's why the top 64 quarterbacks on the planet are not the 64 first and second string quarterbacks in the NFL. You do, like you saw it here with Joe Milton, right? Is Joe Milton less talented than Josh Dobbs? No. A lot of this becomes like how a quarterback room comes together. So once you get past the second round and once you're starting to look at the guy as not your quarterback of the future, not your long-term answer at the position, but a guy you're developing and a guy that's going to have to develop in the shadows over the years, you're going to start to look at him. You start to look at these prospects differently. It's like, how does he fit in my quarterback room? What chance do I have to develop him over the next 2 or 3 years? Is he going to be a good teammate? Is he going to be a resource to my starter? And because of everything that came with Shedeur Sanders, it became, I have a hard time seeing that give me the anonymous guy. Give me Jalen Milroe. Give me Dylan Gabriel. Give me the guy that's just going to fit in and be a part of the group. And I've said this stuff for over a decade. It's just the job of backup quarterback is not the same.
So what happens when Deion gets to camp now, and what's his journey going to be like in Cleveland? I mean, he plays that third preseason game, lights it up, and everybody's screaming.
That's part of the problem. That's like part of why. And I think Deion's got better sense than that. Like, I think this is going to be like Archie and Eli Manning, where there was that question when Eli forced the trade from the Chargers to the Giants, right? There was this perception as Archie disappeared. We didn't really hear from Archie much. Like Archie was the bad guy for his son because he felt like it was best was that he winds up with the Giants, not the Chargers. And then after Eli became a Giant, how much did you hear from Archie? How much of a problem? Archie was the problem.
Okay, to that point, how many phone calls do you think Deion made to teams saying, don't take my kid?
I think it actually – so what I heard was in the week or 2 leading up to the draft, they got nervous and the reverse happened. Like he started calling around and being like, where's my kid going to go? Maybe not asking people to take his kid, but I think what they realized is so Shedeur had sort of conducted himself as if he was going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Like so I think Cam Ward met with 3 teams. Abdul Carter only did 30 visits with 4 teams. When you're that level of prospect, you can do that. Like, I don't want to waste my time.
And you explained why before you would do that, because why share medicals with all these teams when you don't have to.
There's all kinds of reasons. For everyone else, for hundreds and hundreds of draft prospects, you have to go in and treat all 32 like job interviews. You can't pick your spot. You know why? Because there might be 10 teams over here that don't need your position. There might be 10 teams over here you're not a scheme fit for. So it makes no sense to thin the herd when you may not have like that wide a group of suitors to begin with.
If he would have thrown at the combine,
yeah,
do you think that he would have gotten drafted higher?
Well, I heard stuff like I don't know that would have helped because he didn't like. There were people that were critical of how he threw at the pro day.
No, I'm just saying that because you looked at Jackson Dart, who went in the first round, threw at the combine. Everyone besides Shedeur and Cam threw at the combine, right?
I think
that were healthy enough.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you see that kid from who was the kid? Was it the kid from Ohio State that couldn't hit anyone? I can't remember.
Howard. Well, there were a few bad throws.
Yeah. All right, so
I bet that hurt to say.
Well, yeah. What did he care? He's not in the program anymore.
He was fine. I mean, he was fine. But that was sort of a Twitter thing too, where he had like two bad throws.
Yeah, they were pretty
that were
bad.
Not great.
Yeah, but
listen, on social media.
Not all of us watched it. The whole thing. It was funny to see. All right, so okay, because I'm just trying to kind of figure out what's going on. So, like, he treated himself like Abdul Carter and Cam Ward. They knew they were going to be top 3-4 picks. Shedeur Sanders, maybe he's not treating interviews seriously. Is part of that, though, like, maybe he should have thrown at the combine. Maybe he should have taken that more seriously. Like, because if he threw at the combine and then had a pro day.
I think it was more the interviews and the way he handled it. And there were certain teams where, I told the story on the show yesterday. I wrote this on Monday that there was one team where they brought up they put a bad play he had up on the board, and there was like some back and forth with the coaches, and the end of that exchange was, well, maybe I'm not a good fit for you guys then, from Shedeur to the team. So, and like the reason I'm saying, like, you thin the herd, right? So, like, let's say again, like, you got those 10 teams over here that don't need your position. You got these 10 teams over here that you aren't a scheme fit for. Like, you don't know when you're a prospect, like, okay, so maybe there are 8 teams that would legitimately take me in rounds 3 through 5. So now you could be alienating those teams.
Mm-hmm.
So now, like, you already got this like short window of teams that that where all that stuff matches up, and you're on their board, and now you could unknowingly be pulling yourself off the board for them. So that's how it happens. That's why he falls, because it's like you are narrowing the number of teams that are interested in you. And I'm here to tell you that, like, a lot of these teams, like, their draft board's like 100 guys on it, out of however many 100 there are in the draft pool. So, and that's because of scheme fit. That's because of how the interview went. That's because it's medical. It's all these different things.
Do you think that Shedeur Sanders will be a starting quarterback in the NFL?
I would say the odds are against it right now, just because, that's how he really hurts himself here. It's not like the money's the money, right? But how he hurts himself here is the opportunity a second-round pick or a third-round pick is going to get is usually way greater than a fifth-round pick. A third-round pick is almost guaranteed of making the team. A fifth-round, like, some fifth-round picks get cut out of camp.
Oh, no.
So, like, it's not impossible. And then once you get cut once, right? Like, once a guy who got drafted gets cut once, now all of a sudden all bets are off. Now you get the guy, in a lot of cases, bouncing around the league to different teams and all of that and trying to catch back on. That's why, honestly, like, that's what's so impressive about, like, a guy like a Purdy or a Brady way back making it, is that they have to make they get such a small amount of opportunity to prove themselves. Whereas, like, if a guy's a first or second round pick, like, the team's already invested a big asset in him, and they're paying him. And so, like, the opportunity that guy's going to get is greater. So I'd say the odds are against you.
So will he start a game for the Cleveland Browns?
Maybe, because if they're not good, then you could certainly see where it's like, we got to figure out what we have. And that's where the opportunity might come for him, is if they aren't good.
Would Gabriel start before him, though, based on draft position?
I think that depends on how they. One thing I do know about, like, Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Reese and all the guys there, I do think it's going to be a meritocracy. So if Shedeur plays well in camp, I think he'll get opportunity.
Well, that's good for him. All right, look, caller number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985. We'll score a $100 gift card to the 99 restaurant this weekend, today through Sunday. When you buy a $25 gift card, you get 2 $5 bonus cards. If you buy a $50 gift card, you get 4 $5 bonus cards. It's the perfect gift for mom, and you can spread them around. We'll be right back with the big story of the week. We'll get Bert's insider opinion as someone who knew the man about the great Bill Belichick. Here are the headlines.
when me and Joe, we came in together. Thank you. Go Pats.
All right. We are Toucher and Hardy. Dan's in for Hardy. Bert Breer's here. And obviously, we've been talking about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, and so is everyone else. This is the everybody is live with John Mulaney from 2 nights ago. If you could pull the bed down, here is what happened on his show with Richard Kind.
Hey, John, how are you? You good?
I'm good. I know you're going to have a lot to say about surgery.
Yeah,
so.
I got a lot to say about
No, we're not talking about that.
Oh, hello. Hello, Kirsten. Kirsten is Richard's girlfriend, and she's now a constant presence in our lives.
I'm his idea mill and his muse, and I need to see a cut of this before you use it.
It's a live show.
It's not live anymore. Sorry. The Richard portions are pre-taped. We're going to need to see a cut.
Come on. Wouldn't you give up all your friends for this woman? I would blow up my brand and distance myself from my fans for one moment in her company. To watch her scroll, to wake up and hear her on the phone in the bathroom.
Wow, Richard, it seems like a dream.
Yeah, it's a dream. Yeah, we also have some cute Insta faces.
Oh, that's right. You call Instagram Insta faces, even though you're on social media a lot.
No, we're not showing those. Those are private.
They're on public Instagram.
You know, why can't I have it all, John? A family, a brand, a business. No one deserves it more than me.
That may be, but please, if you could not interrupt the show, I would really...
I'm going to have friends over here later. Who are those random people backstage?
The guests?
Whatever.
Come on, John, isn't she amazing? Isn't she amazing?
Richard's happy. Richard's happy, and we can be happy for Richard, okay?
All right. So everyone's having a great time. Bill Belichick is a buffoon, and here we are. And Bert is a reporter, and Bert now is digging around, and there was the $8 million in local investments. And
this is like bananas.
Okay, and so there is this LLC that she has formed?
There's like a bunch of them.
But is there a real? But there's a guy.
Yeah,
that's on all the LLCs.
A guy who's on all of them. It's just the whole way the thing is set up is strange, and like you wonder if there's. I mean, look, I know the way some of this stuff works, and I mean, this feels to me like there's cash that would be subject to his will that are in his accounts and everything, and it just looks like would this be moving cash into assets that only she has control? I mean, it's kind of
sad.
But there's
sketchy.
You were telling me, and I've heard this other places, that there is a man that is on listed in a lot of these documents, almost all of them.
Yeah, there's the same name that's on all of them. It's a
it's a guy.
Talked about it. Yeah,
there's another guy that is part of all of this as well.
Which I mean, maybe that's on the level. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I don't know. How would I? It's on the level. They're LLCs. They're limited liability companies, and of course it's on the level. They're real estate purchases that happen. They know you're posted. Didn't have to dig far. They just went on realestate.com.
Yeah,
I mean they found the records.
It's all public information. Which the whole thing is just, I don't know. You would hope that You would hope that somebody is advising him.
Well, that's not happening. So, but I do, because we don't have a lot of time, and I can do this without getting you in trouble. You talk to a lot of people, and there have been, and you knew him. There have been. I'll do this in a way. Don't worry. There have been theories that maybe Bill's life was deliberately. He got such a long leash. Maybe his life was a deliberately unorganized, chaotic situation because it was a brilliant way to keep power. But that was one theory. So the other theory is that he's an idiot. And that is correct.
That's Fred's words, not mine.
But not unfounded.
But there is so I do think to some degree, the people who I know who have worked for Bill said that there was it was a level of disorganization to everything that only he knew how the whole thing ran, and it consistently stayed on the tracks, and they won over and over and over again to the point where it's so somehow, like, he knows how this whole operation is held together, and no one else does, and it's impossible for anybody else to run it the way that he runs it. It's like a lot of geniuses are that way, right?
Sure, yeah. They all often do what he's doing.
So, but, I said this for the last 10 years, which I've thought a lot about this the last couple of weeks as this story has really started to catch fire. And there's part of it like that I think one of the reasons why he wanted to finish his career in New England was because he knew that operation was almost running itself at the end. And he had such good knowledge over the way everything in the organization was set up. He never had to do that over again. And I think he had knowledge of how hard it would be to recreate what he had here with people like Bears, with people that he trusted that were inside Ernie Adams, that were inside the organization. And maybe those people were a little more important to holding all of the disorganization together than we realize.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Remember the Beverly Hillbillies?
Yes.
And how they had that very thin banker, that woman. She was very manly.
Mm-hmm.
Without that banker, the Clampetts are in big trouble because they have just they've uncovered oil, but they're rubes.
Yeah.
And they would be susceptible to many, many scams. And how often did the banker step in and get them from Granny from getting into some kind of moonshine business? And now that it's like the banker's not there anymore, and now it's just the Clampetts running around with their money. And when you give a brain-dead hillbilly all that money, I got to tell you, it's not long for their pocket. Isn't that right, Bert?
I mean,
solid point, Fred.
Bert, your thoughts?
I mean, just the handling of CBS News.
Yeah, well, we've been over that, and
that's the one though. That's the one though where it's like somebody had to be there to tell Bill, okay, you're not dealing with like a local news outlet that needs you because the football team is so important anymore. You are dealing with an outlet that has experience working with war-torn countries and dictators. They aren't going to be intimidated by a guy with a visor and a whistle. And it's just the reality of it. Like, somebody needed to be there to tell him that. Instead,
right. No, here's the deal. It's a magazine, and I'll tell you this. When I found out, it even got weirder when I found out it was a half-hour interview. Usually when they do pieces on people, it's like a 2-day thing.
Yeah.
Again, I'll bring the Gorman thing up as to what I know. They followed Gorman around, like the city, like went to his house, like talked about his war career, like
follow him around
and talked
campus,
to people,
right?
talked to people from his life. This Bill thing was a half an hour that they were thrown in at the end of the show. They just were like, whatever, fine. Maybe it was like the last thing they were putting into the show. It was like you know how TV works. It was the last thing. It was the
E-block.
least. It was the E-block. It was the least important thing they were doing. They spent Dan, a half an hour for an interview on a national show. They weren't taking that seriously. And the idea that they somehow blew that up and destroyed it in such a way is almost impossible. And it's not hyperbole. It should be studied. Honestly, if I had a communications course in college, I would study that and go, here is the worst way I've ever seen something handled in my entire life.
I mean, I made this point yesterday. These media blitzes for books are not uncommon. You write a book, you go and do a bunch of interviews, and you sit down with people. I cannot think of one memorable moment from a book tour media blitz. I couldn't come up with one when I thought about it yesterday. Can you think of anything anybody ever said?
There's guys like Bret Easton Ellis and stuff that like were bad boy writers and stuff, but that was kind of like what they were trying to manufacture. But I know what you're saying.
Legitimately took something that was
nothing. That was an E-block segment about a boring book that no one's going to buy.
And that's normally where Bill would be. Where Bears would be in the back and wouldn't say anything. Bill Bill
with Bears. This is Bill's wheelhouse.
Yes, and
nothing.
Bill would handle himself.
Hey,
right by saying nothing.
How did you meet your girlfriend? Oh, it's a fun story. This never happened. They were both on a first class flight to Palm Beach. She's a college kid. flying first class to Palm Beach. Why is she going to Palm Beach and why she's in first class? Her parents don't have any money. Interesting. That's how they met. Okay, so
for those who are listening, Fred is giving the okay sign.
But very quickly, because we have to break. Very quickly, we have to break. Here's how you answer the question: how did you guys meet? Oh, we met a few years ago. We just hit it off. We were having this great conversation. We exchanged information. I didn't think it would go anywhere, but you know what? We stayed in contact and fell in love. Boom. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was very difficult for me to do. That was a 10-second answer. Bert, it's always a photo of you and your parent or adult child, and you'll come in on Tuesday. But we need you to go to 985thesportshub.com. I'll tell you this. If you enter now, the chances of you getting picked are high.
Yeah, because we're gonna pick them at the end of the show today and notify people and get
Jesus
everybody
Christ.
put together for Tuesday.
No pressure there.
Maybe not at the end of the show today. Maybe this evening.
Maybe we wait a little longer.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we need to wait a little bit longer, Adam. I think you're getting very ambitious with this. Let's see how many people we can get. But
fingers crossed.
But look, if you want to come in and hang out, and I'm not going to make fun of you.
No.
If you want to come in and hang out, you'll get one of these roses. And
The last time was great when we had him in for
I'll tell you,
Valentine's. It was a blast.
at least two of them reached out to me specifically on Instagram and said what a great time
I had
they
to do the same with me. So
it was fantastic. All right, look, Dan's here, and Dan is very prude, but we're not gonna sex him up, Dan. Don't worry about this. But there is an anniversary today, Adam.
Yes, there is. So this year marks the 40th anniversary of back in 1985 when the Parents Music Resource Center.
Do you remember that committee you were a part of? The big Tipper Gore. You don't remember that? There were the trials. Frank Zappa and Dee Snider. They talked about it. They wanted to put labels,
and they did. They were the ones responsible for the Parental Advisory Explicit Lyrics label that came to fruition at the end of the 80s, early 90s.
And it worked like a charm because all it did was hurt album sales. If you had one
I know.
it became, of course, they wanted to put these PMRC labels on, warning labels on albums, and then very quickly artists realized, oh, if I get one of these labels, I'll sell more records.
It's going to sell like hotcakes. Fred, you and I were in middle school, high school at that time. Like, that's exactly, as soon as you saw an album have that sticker on it, you're like, I got to buy that. I got to hear what's on it.
Crew. That was like the poster boy,
NWA.
right?
Well, NWA was the album where
Third Base had a sticker on it. I mean,
everyone did.
Yeah.
But there were a couple funny things that came out of it, and then we'll get to the thing, is that, I remember hearing NWA in my friend's brother's car and going, oh, my. Like, I was still able to be shocked, which is funny. And then B, the hysteria over Satanism was very, very
the
funny.
Satanic Panic was still big.
Including the rumors that Kiss were satanic when all one had to do was look at how elementary and dumb their lyrics were. If anything, pedophilia should be your concern, as in evidenced with Christine 16 and Going Blind.
Isn't that interesting though? They never targeted any of like that or like Ted Nugent's songs. That always seemed to kind of fly by the wayside.
No, they were very concerned
about
with
the devil.
Or if you'll recall, Judas Priest had a trial in court,
Yes.
not in front of Congress, in court, that they were culpable in a suicide of a kid.
Oh yeah,
because it was believed if you played one of their records backwards. That it said, do it, do it, do it. And looking back, that went to trial, and like Judas Priest had to go to court.
What happened?
Well, I mean, they were found not guilty,
Yeah.
but like the notion that something that you recorded and put out would be responsible for someone killing themselves as an artist is insane to think about. And B, that an artist would put something, that would be effective, that you backwards masking would somehow subliminally make someone kill themselves, and that got to court, is crazy. And also that a band would, I remember Rob Halford from Judas Priest was like, why would we want to kill our fans? Like, they pay us.
Right.
Like why, what would be the goal of us killing people? And why would we do it backwards? And they also said Suicide Solution, which is actually an anti-drinking song by Ozzy, but they saw Suicide Solution and then it was Ozzy. And they immediately said, oh, it's about killing yourself and how great it is. No, it's suicide listen to the first. Wine is fine, but liquor's quicker. Suicide is quick with liquor or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's about alcoholism.
It's like a PSA, really.
It's basically a PSA.
Yeah, but they didn't dig deep enough.
Well, that would require listening
Right,
to it.
exactly.
Okay, so what are you doing?
So this is the publisher. Part of this whole PMRC push to censor music that they found to be inappropriate, but really didn't even really listen to all of or pay much attention to. The PRMC had the Filthy 15. It was a list of 15 songs that were recommended to be banned.
All right.
So they didn't want these played on the radio. They didn't want them put on MTV.
Danny?
Because of the subject matter included therein. So I'm going to play you the song.
And Danny's going to have to guess what
And
it is.
Dan's going to have to guess what it is and why they didn't want this played.
Yeah.
It says masturbating.
Yes, and sex. So that is one of the subcategories, sex/masturbation. That the PRC
What was the word they didn't want?
102.
What I'm saying, Dan?
What's that?
The word that they had a problem with, Danny, was what?
Sex.
No. It was she was doing something with a magazine. What was that?
Reading it.
She was. Well, I don't know if it was photos or if it was a story. Perhaps it was a forum. It was a Hustler forum.
Why do I
A
go on
Penthouse
trial
forum.
every time with you?
Because I don't believe you don't know the Purple Rain album. I really don't. That came out in
I used to listen
1984.
to it, but I don't know the names of those songs specifically.
Yes, you do.
Well, you acted like you had never heard this song, which is ludicrous. And I'm being serious. I'm not busting your balls.
How many years has it been?
40.
I don't know, Dan.
You know?
Slow ride.
Do you remember 40 things in your life?
I remember Darling
40
Nikki.
years ago? Yeah, you remember stuff like that. Do you
Part
remember
of the- that
where
things-
you were, what you were doing, what was
things
going
in
on
the
your life?
zeitgeist?
That's the
Yes,
stuff
I recall them.
remember.
All right, go ahead.
Let's give Dan a song.
Who was the president in 1984?
Mo Vaughn was the all-star
Yeah.
for the Red Sox. That
Not in 84.
That's what I remember.
No, that's in the
95.
That was 94.
95.
You're even wrong about that. You
95.
see now.
Oh, so we're going back to 84.
All right, Belichick.
Yes.
Your feet first, Belichick, too. Go ahead.
All right, Dan, you know.
Make
Oh,
a
no.
buck.
You see, that's where it is. We'll fight. Oh, my goodness.
Well, they say
Wow.
we'll fight several times.
That's
in it.
right, and that's in the chorus. So obviously that can't happen with Twisted Sister.
And it had Niedermeyer in the video, too.
That's right. And that is literally the reason
Tom?
that the PRMC that is their category is
Not Need and Fury.
Is violence. It's a song that should have been banned from
I know
the
more
radio.
than you about baseball. All right, go ahead.
Although I will say this, that they've been successful in that. I wouldn't have to play that song twice a day on Rock 92.9, but I digress.
Man.
This is another song
No
that
wonder it's not around there.
Absolutely, no kidding. The pages of Blue Boy magazine. Hey, I've been thinking of a new sensation. I'm picking up good vibrations. She bop.
Dirty Deed.
Yes,
Huh?
a dirty deed, Dan.
It's about masturbating.
That's
Dan.
right. It is. It is about that.
So what was that song about?
That
Warren.
Okay. All right, what's next?
You know
What's
what?
that
Let's.
from? Huh? You remember
let's
that, Johnny,
play-
don't you? Warren?
Let's play one
Oh,
more.
I remember
since
Warren.
you were talking about, we have time for one more. Since you were talking about Judas Priest, we'll
we have
we'll
two
play-
more. We have time for
Okay,
two more.
we'll
It
play,
makes Dan so uncomfortable.
We'll play some. Hold on for a second here. See if I can find this.
I don't remember
My
this
dad's
song.
old Chevy Malibu.
So what? But again, like that sounds innocuous to me, Dan. I
Well,
don't
he's
know
talking
why.
about gay sex in the beginning.
Oh, is
but-
that what it is?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
But who would know?
Right. It is. It is very. very
I mean, I love
thinly
Judas
dressed.
Priest.
Yeah.
They were my favorite band when I was real little. Us Festival 1983. I had it on beta. I taped it off TV.
Betamax.
I knew exactly. I memorized the set. I had no idea that he was gay. I mean, it seems obvious now, but no one knew. I mean, he was really leathering it up. All right, and
One more?
finally, yeah.
A snippet of these songs.
What
and
the
made
hell
the
is?
choice. Well, that's not
How? Who
appropriate.
knew that
Who
was
was this-
about sex?
Who was this committee?
It's called the PMRC, Parents Musical Resource Council, and it was led by Tipper Gore. Al Gore was a Democrat from Tennessee,
Right.
And his,
But she and the spouses of other Reagan era conservatives decided to put together this group to start policing the media that we could consume.
and that used
which
to
is
be
always a good idea.
Like it used to be the religious right that were the big harbingers of like righteousness, and that has shifted a little bit in modern society, and it's kind of. We need to get back to the religious right so we can start joking around again.
Yes.
Because that was an easy group to offend. You could just offend them, and it was super funny.
Yeah.
In the 90s, every comedian and everyone band, the idea was to piss off like super religious people, and then it kind of shifted and got more kind of like out there in the other direction. I would like it if the religious right became the big people getting all pissed off about things again, because that makes things a lot more fun. All right, we will be back in just a moment. Cedric Maxwell, who, when I was not here, was very upset at Bill Simmons. We'll check in with him about if Bill has reached out to him. We will have that for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, I can finally do this read without being interrupted by Hardy. Mother's Day is coming up, and I
individually. Far from it. It's the opposite of that. But being part of this team that has won twice is the thrill of a lifetime. And let's go get another one. Gets me going every day.
Yeah. Taking you on Friday under cloudy skies in Boston, but those leaves are out and those birds are chirping. Riding into the weekend, Cedric Maxwell. Hope you're feeling well. He's the Celtics color analyst.
Man, that's smooth jazz, bro. That's
right. It's
nice.
the quiet storm.
It's
the quiet
storm. The only one I know can do that
storm.
might be, the other guy over there might be the gentleman over there sitting beside you. John Walton's pretty good, but the other gentleman in the room, oh my goodness.
Oh, Danny Roach? You love Danny Roach.
Danny Roach is a quiet storm expert, man. I had one of my best lines ever live on the camera with Danny Roach, and he starts telling me about Marcus Smart and Drew Holiday, and he compares the two, and he said one is like heavy metal and the other one is like smooth jazz. And I said, Danny Wallach? I said, Dan, not Danny Wallach. Dan. I said, Dan, that is the blackest thing you've ever said in your life. And he said, and
then he went on a tirade of N-words.
Oh my God, he turned completely red. Danny Roach turned completely red. It was unbelievable.
And then he started doing Pryor's Act from 1978, and it was
big moment on WBZ.
Man. He's like, I got permission. Boston Celtics playoff coverage on 98.5 The Sports Hub is presented by Charles D. Sheehy. For over 70 years, Charles D. Sheehy has been your local leader for pipes, valves, and fittings. CDS can offer you the solutions needed to keep your project moving. Sadly, Cedric, I was on vacation with my daughter last week. I was not here, but I was fascinated by your comments about the documentary that you were featured in, the Bill Simmons documentary. What's it called? The
Celtic City.
Celtic City. And your feeling was that, look, man, you're covering these championships, and you're not like mentioning I was a Finals MVP. They're kind of glossing over your role in on those teams, and it's a long ass documentary. There's no reason you shouldn't be more featured. They had you sit down for interviews. I can understand your frustration. Has Bill Simmons reached out to you?
No, I have not heard from Bill. And to me, and I understand you can't put everything in the doc. I really do. I understand that, but some critical pieces. And I think people paint the picture the way they want to paint it. And the narrative, again, is almost like when Christopher Columbus discovered America. And I discovered this place, but there are people already here. You can't discover a place. That was the narrative that, that people put out. So I think that, in the doc, certain things wanted to be featured and certain things weren't. So, I had to get over that. But
you look, can you let it run your life? No, but let me tell you this. When I heard about it and I thought about it, I can relate to your frustration, and I'll tell you why. Is because here is this like super fan in Bill Simmons that's making a definitive Celtics documentary. And I could see how you could feel overlooked when people talk about the history of the Celtics, because you were such an integral part to that team, and you were a Finals MVP. Your number has been retired.
Also, the 81 championship was huge because that was their first championship after the big dip. After the 76, there was a sizable drop-off. 81 was like, okay,
right,
we're back.
So and I could see, Cedric, and it's not even limited to this documentary, is that when people tell the story of the Celtics, Cedric is often overlooked outside of Boston. Like that story, like Cedric was the most important part of that team in 81. He was. And then he was a consistent part as that team rose to greatness. I see your frustration. And then they have you sit down. They talk to you. They use you in it because you're a charismatic guy and you're funny, and they use you in it. But then when it comes time to tell the story, I understand your frustration, and I don't think it's petty at all. I really don't. I would tell you if I did. I think I would tell you if I did. Yeah. I think that I would be frustrated too. I understand that. And I'm a little surprised Bill Simmons hasn't reached out to you for real, because I think if Bill is this super fan of the team and is someone who is, you know, that invested in everything and it means so much to, if one of the Celtics greats is like, hey, I got a question.
It's not like Max went away either. He's done some things for this franchise over the last 30 years.
That's why it's surprising to me that Bill Simmons hasn't reached out to you. In fact, we reached out to Bill. We tried, I don't know Bill Simmons' information. We had the idea of reaching out to him and just even telling him like, hey, why don't you reach out to Max? It doesn't have to be on our show. But good luck getting in touch with him. I don't know. I've done stuff for The Ringer. I like The Ringer. It's just, I don't know. I'm surprised I really am surprised he hasn't reached out to you.
Well, I have not heard from him. And, you know, and I'll say even, I guess to punctuate it even more, down at the public library on the wall in Boston, there's a quote that I made of "Climb on My Back" before the 1984 championship game that wasn't featured. And I'm not saying the whole doc had to be about me, but
of course not.
But when it got down to, you know, when I got traded, you know, I didn't, you know, he didn't get in shape, and you know, you got me eating French fries on camera, and it almost looked like. But you know, you did one thing I will give them is when they said, you know, they asked me said, well, Larry didn't think you got in shape, and I did get a chance to say on camera, no, Larry was wrong. Larry was wrong. I did bust my ass trying to get in shape. I did all those things trying to come back. But at that particular time, my body wouldn't allow for that short period of time. And you know, the best thing about all this is that when, you know, I was kind of blamed for losing that championship, how good was I? If you tell me you got Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Larry Bird, 4 Hall of Famers, the top 75 players, but they needed me to get over the hump. So, you know, I'll take it like that.
All right. Well, look, I'm on your side in this. I really am. All right. So as we move on to the current situation with the Celtics, I'm asking everyone, did you get anything out of this Magic series that you think? Oh, first of all, happy birthday to your mother.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I spent $5,000 on the food for her birthday party.
Well, you only turned 90 once.
A 90-year-old woman knew that many people. I'm like, damn, wow. You know that many people?
Yeah, and who knew she could eat that much?
It was almost 200 people at her birthday party.
Well,
And
look,
it happened to be her first birthday party she said she'd ever had. So it was cool.
and can I give Grandy credit? And this is actual credit, not sarcastic credit. When he said you weren't there, he's like, Cedric's not here tonight. He is for personal reasons. I went, oh. And he goes, yes, it's his mother's 90th birthday. So, like, by him saying it was your mother's 90th birthday, he didn't couch it in, like, something was wrong. So yeah. I will give him credit for that it was, like, I thought a nice thing to do. Like, and he was like, gave a happy birthday to your mom, and I thought it was nice of him to do that.
Man, that almost seemed like somebody's twisting your arm to say that.
No, because I was in the car, and he was like, Cedric's not here for personal reasons. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, just say it. And he was like, yeah, it's his mom's 90th birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday to his mom. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm like, good for you. That was nice of you to do. All right, so here's the deal. Did you get anything from that Magic series?
I got out of the Magic City, out of the Magic series, excuse me. I got out of it that the Celtics can play almost any way and win. You know what the Magic did? They took away the 3-ball. They were consistently, fouling the Celtics. They made it very difficult for. But what Joe Mazzulla and his team did, they adjusted. And I really like how they adjusted and playing and what they had to do. They attacked the rim. They got other people involved. The Magic completely took Porzingis out of that series. But you saw Jason Tatum step up. You saw Brown have a huge game when Tatum wasn't there. So the Celtics showed me that they could win in multiple ways. And that was really cool to see.
So now they have the Knicks in front of them, and they swept the Knicks during the regular season. Those of us here in the room don't believe the Knicks pose that big of a threat here in the second round. How do you feel about this?
I think it's going to be an interesting series, and I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting because just throw that out the window. The fact that the Celtics did sweep them. I think that if you look at the regular season, the Celtics did what they need to do, but the Knicks, to me, will be a different team especially playing in Madison Square Garden. And this is a team that is going to be hungry. I think the Celtics, if they played their game, they still should beat the Knicks. But I'm very curious what goes on down in Madison Square Garden. And one problem the Knicks have is the fact that Jason Tatum and Brown, they love that big stage in Madison Square Garden. So the Knicks better try to get one here in Boston. They better get one of these first two.
And I would think, Max, especially the way they played last year, and we see is they find guys to go at, and they wear them down with their offense, and they wear their offense down. So Brunson and Towns looks like guys that they'll go right after and try to exploit them with pick and rolls and everything else, screens and things that they do, right?
They're going to probably try to do a lot more with Towns in the ISO situation. They feel like if they can get him a pick and roll, he doesn't adjust as fast with Tatum coming off. They can get any kind of shot they want to get. Brunson, a lot of this to me depends on, and a godsend was the fact that Drew Holiday was able to sit out during this time, and maybe, the hamstring would be, well enough for him to play the first game. But you got to be real careful with those hamstring injuries because, it can, if you're not careful, you can really do some real damage, and he could be out for the rest of the playoffs. So he's a key component because he's a guy, along with Derek White, that can get up and make it very tough for Brunson, who has actually absolutely been on the heater.
Jalen Brunson is an unusual guard in today's day and age. I mean, he hits a lot of clutch shots like the one he hit last night. Can you compare him to anyone you've played against or seen up until now?
Celtics Isaiah Thomas back during the day. You remember how Isaiah would just say, the fourth quarter, he's sort of tapping his, wrist, Isaiah time.
Yep.
I've never seen the Garden more electric. And even when you talk about Bird, or only other shot I can remember is Pritchard, when Pritchard hit that half-court shot. But Isaiah used to get these people in a frenzy because he was short. He was going up against Goliath, and he would just control situations like that. Brunson is very much like that. He's a little pit bull. He gets in there. He's very rugged. He can be injury prone because he has weak ankles. But man, he is tough as nails when it comes to a guy who wants to compete at a high level. I think the Celtics have the right kind of defense really to try to impose their will against him.
Yeah, what do you make about the Pistons? And look, they just weren't ready. They just couldn't perform at the end of games. What do you look at the future of that team being like?
I think it's a great situation for them right now. Young teams have to learn to win. When Larry Bird and myself were first here in the team together, we played against Philly. And Philly wiped us. They killed us the first time. But then we learned. And I think on this big stage, you have to learn. Not only that, but man, did the Pistons get screwed in a game that they should have won in Detroit when they got fouled. It was a foul that should have been called. And the NBA later on said, I don't worry about this team. I think this is a good team. They're well coached. Cade Cunningham is only going to get better. I like the situation. And then they had a couple of players who were out, who didn't play this year. And I think they're going to be that much better coming back next year.
All right. Well, look, happy birthday, Cedric, to your mother. We're glad to have you back. Hopefully Bill Simmons gets in contact with you. And
let me hold my breath. Hold on.
I honestly, man, I am actually surprised he hasn't, but what are you going to do? All right, Cedric, thanks so much. We look forward to hearing you as this second round starts up.
All right, gentlemen, have a good one.
See you, Max.
Take it easy. There you go. The great Cedric Maxwell. All right, we'll be right back. Danny Roach has got stuff. Kendra's here. Everyone's all excited. All right, we'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Front Office Sports reported yesterday incoming owner Bill Chisholm is expected to finalize the sale of the Celtics from Wyc Grousbeck next week after putting together.
Show Derby. A field of 6 will be going forward in this one. Number 1 is Fred. Number 2 is Hardy. The 3rd is Wallach. Number 4, Adam 12. The 5 is Ryan Beaton. And the 6 is Nick. And they're all in the gate. And they're off. Adam 12 comes out of the gate fast. Right behind him, it's Ryan Beaton, followed by a pack of Fred, Hardy, and Wallach. And trailing, after a slow start, it's Nick. The half mile in a crisp 47 and change. Adam 12 has been joined by Fred on the rail. 3 lengths ahead of Ryan Beaton, Hardy, and Wallach. And with a lot of ground to make up, it's Nick. We're approaching a mile, rounding the far turn. Fred has taken the lead, with Adam 12 falling back. Hardy and Wallach are together, plotting a way to beat Fred, I'm sure. Ryan has begun to fade to 5th, but still in far, far, far back. Last place, Nick, who appears to be pulling up lame. No, wait, it's just the way he runs. The mile in 1:35, and down the stretch they come. Now it's 3 across. Fred on the inside, Hardy on the outside, and Wallach in between in tight quarters, like on his trip to Luxembourg. Fred is being whipped by his jockey, and he seems to like it. Now Fred has the lead, but wait, Wallach cuts him off, and cuts him off again. We've seen that before. Final strides as they come down the stretch. It's Fred and Wallach. Wallach and Fred, and it's Wallach by a beat. But wait, we've got an inquiry and a jockey objection. Hold on.
Dan Roche with the Theater of the Mind.
That's a Dan Roach production right there.
Look at you, Danny Roach. All right, so does Dan have a game for us?
He does have a game, Dan. Do you want me to play the intro? Is there anything you want to set up first, or do you want me to just go right into the
I need to
intro?
thank Bob Doyle down at KSP for helping me with that. And also want to tell people, Fred, that if you don't mind, All Access, that's why I was down in Foxborough, is on the air tonight, 7 o'clock, draft recap. Go behind the scenes. Elliot Wolf will be a one-on-one, those kind of fun stuff. 7 o'clock tonight on WBZ. Now we can go to the game. It's time for a contest about the Derby. Who will win, John or Fred? I guess we will see.
All right, take it away, Dan.
All right, Dan. This is Dan's contest. Dan has invented this contest.
All right, you guys ready? Just some questions, Freddie. All right, the 151st Kentucky Derby is coming up tomorrow at Churchill Downs. What are the 3 races that make up horse racing's Triple Crown?
Okay, who was supposed to answer this?
Both of you. Go battle.
Okay. Oh, I got it.
Well, I know too. You want to go ahead? You can have it.
Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and the Belmont Stakes.
I agree.
Well done. Well done. Tight quarters. Like now,
I've got the lead in this matchup.
So the Belmont is the one in Maryland where everyone goes nuts, or is that Preakness?
No, that's Preakness. The Belmont's the longer one.
Mile and a half.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Okay.
Yes, I like when they kill them when they get
I've
lame.
been to a Belmont Stakes. I've never been to a Derby or the Preakness, but I've been to a Belmont.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a big ass show, right? Like everyone's just wasted in the infield running on the porta potties.
Yeah, that's the Preakness, right?
Preakness. Okay, so you've been to the Belmont. All
Number
right, my
2.
bad.
What song is played as the horses leave the paddock and come onto the track for the post parade?
I don't know.
My Old Kentucky Home.
I don't know.
That's my guess.
Okay.
The sun shines bright
on my old Kentucky home.
By the way, Dan didn't know Darling Nikki from the movie and soundtrack
But he
Purple
knows
Rain.
this one, I know.
That was part of the zeitgeist while he was a disc jockey, ladies and gentlemen.
I tear up.
But he knows this song.
Darling Nikki,
No,
because
my
you
old
remember all
Kentucky
all the brain dead whores you've been with. That actually made him spit take.
That was great.
Thank you.
That's the best thing that's happened.
Dan actually laughed at an inappropriate
That
joke.
was fantastic. And he's turning
All
red.
right, here we go.
No makeup there.
How many horses have won the Triple Crown? 10, 13, or 15? And as a bonus, name as many as you can.
Okay, so I thought it wouldn't be even 10. So let me guess, John, because I have no idea.
Good.
10, Secretariat. Someone did it recently.
Right, but I don't remember that.
I don't remember that one either. Do you know the name of another one besides Secretariat?
Yeah, Affirmed. Affirmed did it. Beat Alidar in all 3 races.
Yes.
Seattle Slew.
Yep.
All right, that's about where I tap out.
That's pretty good. That's 3.
Okay, so I'm guessing 10 have won.
I'll say
am I right or
I'll
am I
say
wrong?
13.
John?
Well, that would be Adam.
Adam, John?
You're the one with the answers in front of you, Dan. Who's got it?
Oh,
like a Swiss watch.
Only 13 horses have ever won the Triple Crown.
All
There
right.
you go.
I do not like horse racing.
You wouldn't
but
get the early
I like
ones.
dog racing.
You might have heard of Citation.
Oh, yeah.
Secretariat.
War Admiral.
Seattle
War
Slew.
Admiral.
War Admiral.
Yeah.
Affirmed. American Pharaoh in 2015.
Okay.
And Justify in 2018. And then you go back to Sir Barton, Gallant Fox, Omaha, War Admiral, and Whirl Away.
War Admiral is a Seabiscuit thing. I remember that.
Okay. very
Well,
good.
it cuts him off. I've seen that before.
Absolutely. He cuts off my brilliant jokes.
Next question. Have any female horses, a.k.a. fillies, ever won the Kentucky Derby?
That's a positive, yes. There has been a female horse. I don't remember the name, but I remember a female horse winning this thing.
I thought it was only female horse. I don't know anything about horse racing.
Yeah, the answer is yes, Dan.
Yes.
Far back.
I don't like parimutuel wagering. I don't care
Regret
for
in
it.
1915, Genuine Risk in 1980, and Winning Colors in 1988.
These all sound like anti-sex
What's
PSAs.
the drink of choice on Derby Day,
Well, that
and
is a-
what's in it?
Well, as a recovering alcoholic, I can tell you it's a mint julep. And there's mint sugar, and the alcohol in it is it rum, mint, and sugar?
John?
I have no idea.
No, he's wrong. It's bourbon.
Oh, bourbon, mint, and sugar.
Water, crushed or shaved ice, and fresh mint.
Okay.
idea.
What's the official flower of the Kentucky Derby?
Oh, Jesus.
The pansy, because they're very into that over there.
Fred is right, correct. And what is the nickname of the Kentucky Derby? It goes hand in hand with the official flower.
The pansy
They
division.
run for the... It's called the Run
Great band.
Roses.
Thank you.
The
very
run for the
much.
roses.
Attaboy. All right.
Am I winning or losing?
You're
this thing?
winning
winning.
by a tremendous
We're
amount.
all
John.
winning.
Lastly,
We're
what's
all winning
failing?
these last 10 minutes.
John, I can assure you you're winning by a tremendous amount.
Lastly, what term has been used to describe the Kentucky Derby? Is it A, the fastest 2 minutes in sports?
Yes.
Is it B, the most
A.
exciting 2 minutes
A.
in sports? Is it C, the greatest 2 minutes in sports?
Fastest 2 minutes in sports.
This is for the tie.
No.
John?
I will say it's B, just to be different.
I gotcha. They're all used when describing the Kentucky Derby over the years. They've been coined by several different authors and
So
things
wait,
like that. But
We're all
I will
right.
say
We're all right.
I will say Fred is more correct because that's the
The
one
fastest
that
2
most
minutes in
people
sports is how I've heard it described. All I know is I find it very annoying, the Kentucky Derby.
think. Why?
Because I don't tend to like people that go. And then also I don't like that you'll be at a bar like, in St. Louis and everyone's pretending that they're at the Kentucky Derby with their dumb hats.
Oh, I gotcha.
It annoys me. I don't like horse betting. My dad had a harness racing horse, Razzle Dazzle, that his boss convinced him to buy into
Really?
because his boss had one that won the Little Brown Jug.
Yep.
He had
The
a
harness.
boss that got like super rich. He was doing all this wild stuff like making movies and not releasing them for tax purposes. And he drove a Ferrari. It was a lot of weird stuff going on. And my dad, who had no money, invested in this dumb horse.
My dad invested too.
Yeah, and it was a real disaster.
He bought a breeding farm. My dad bought a breeding farm.
Yeah,
in
you told us
Ocala,
about that.
you know?
That was
Like, good Lord.
Oh, Ocala. My aunt, who was a mess, moved to Ocala and lived in a trailer and had the horses. Ugh, Ocala. You didn't like going down there, did you?
No, up
No,
there
no.
because you have to go to Orlando and Tampa and just drive straight
No,
up
I know,
to
but
nothing,
like,
you know?
yeah, I had a car break down in Ocala one time coming back to Detroit.
By the way, if
Yeah, I
you're
don't
looking
like
for-
anything about these horses. I don't like being on them. I don't like anything about
If you're
them.
looking for a hunch bet, maybe for you, Fred, the number 10 horse at 10-1 in the morning odds is Grandy.
Oh, well, I complimented Grandy
Yeah,
today,
there you
so
go.
maybe it's a big
Pretty
thing
cool.
happening. All right,
All right.
Kendra Middleton is going
Thank
to be
you.
in, and maybe she has a take on.
Yeah, she can tell us who the betting favorite is and everything. I'm going to take journalism.
Well,
by
not
the
so
way.
much in the Kentucky Derby as the mess with Bill Belichick is what I'm getting.
No, I want to talk about the Derby, not Bill.
No, you like to talk about Bill. Don't now. Like I know your
Don't hide
your role, but you do enjoy this Bill Belichick stuff. He was a dick to you too. Yeah, he had to have been. Yeah, silence speaks everything. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the playoff game right here. Your home for Boston Celtics basketball. WBC FM and HD1 Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The sale of the Celtics is about to be official. Front Office Sports was the first to report yesterday that incoming owner Bill Chisholm should finalize that deal within the next week, and he and his group now have enough money to cover the entire cost of it. The sale is reportedly worth in the neighborhood of $6.1 billion. ESPN reported yesterday the team will look at trade possibilities this summer, and Drew Holiday won the NBA Sportsmanship Award for this season. It's the second time in his career he's won it. On the court, the Celtics finally have an opponent for round 2 of the playoffs. The Knicks got 40 points from Jalen Brunson, including a late tie-breaking 3. They eliminated Detroit in 6 games last night, 116-113.
Just found a way to create some separation. Shot it a little earlier than I wanted to, but I mean, Asar is just a great defender, man. And just the fact that I got that much space, I had to shoot it right there. Happy to ball one in.
The Knicks will come to TD Garden Monday night for Game 1 of that best-of-7 playoff series. In other NBA news, LeBron James will reportedly be back next season for the Lakers, along with head coach J.J. Redick, despite a first-round playoff exit. The Red Sox bullpen imploded again last night in Toronto. They lost to the Blue Jays 4-2 at Rogers Center. Vlad Guerrero, the game-winning 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th inning. Red Sox are back home to play Minnesota tonight. Walker Buehler was supposed to start, but he was sent back to Boston yesterday for testing on his pitching shoulder. And in NHL news, the New York Rangers have, within the last few minutes, officially announced the hiring of Mike Sullivan as their new head coach. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you need to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. Hey, if your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, The Sports Hub.
His first before he put an album out, and you feel a lot of artists obviously feature on bigger artists' tracks. Who he featured with, first band he featured with, first act.
It's got to be New York.
Yes.
And he's Queensboro, and he was after Mob. Was it Mob Deep?
No, I mentioned them earlier in the show. It's Third Base. He features on a track on the second Third Base album.
As did MF Doom, who at the time was now known as what?
As he was in KMD.
Yes,
and he was known as Zev Love X.
Absolutely, without a mask. He is in the video for the Gas Face.
That's
right.
Right.
Yes.
He is. Yep.
The Gas Face is the one. So if you're looking for that, and KMD have videos too.
Third Base.
Very good, Dan.
That's under the pants.
I don't know
my
who's
friend.
on third.
Yeah, you do. Your hand is.
No, we're talking about whose wife comes down to pick up the paycheck. Yes.
I do think Mulaney's probably the funniest person in the world right now that Norm Macdonald has died. And this is from Everybody's Live with John Mulaney from 2 nights ago. I don't know if you've seen or heard this, Kendra. Richard Kind is an older man. He's wearing a ripped T-shirt, and he's the announcer on Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. And here we go.
Hey, John.
Have you heard this?
I was listening to you guys earlier this morning and heard you guys say that you were going to play it, but
Okay.
then my mom called.
All right, so listen. Well, you have to take that call.
Yes.
So here we go. Listen to this. I want you to hear it.
Hey, John. How are you? You good?
I'm good. I know you're going to have a lot to say about surgery.
Yeah, I got a lot to say
No,
about
we're not
it.
talking about that.
Oh, hello. Hello, Kirsten. Kirsten is Richard's girlfriend, and she's now a constant presence in our lives.
I'm his idea mill and his muse. And I need to see a cut of this before you use it.
It's a live show.
It's not live anymore. Sorry. The Richard portions are pre-taped. We're going to need to see a cut.
Come on. Wouldn't you give up all your friends for this woman? I would blow up my brand and distance myself from my fans for one moment in her company. To watch her scroll, to wake up and hear her on the phone in the bathroom.
Wow, Richard, it seems like a dream.
Yeah, it's a dream. Yeah, we also have some cute Insta faces.
Oh, that's right. You call Instagram Insta faces, even though you're on social media a lot.
No, we're not showing those. Those are private.
They're on public Instagram.
You know, why can't I have it all, John? A family, a brand, a business. No one deserves it more than me.
That may be, but please, if you could not interrupt the show, I would really...
I'm going to have friends over here later. Who are those random people backstage?
The guests?
Whatever.
Come on, John, isn't she amazing? Isn't she amazing?
Richard's happy. Richard's happy, and we can be happy for Richard, okay?
All right, so just the fact that John Mulaney made fun of it in real time is just a great, great pleasure to me. Kendra, you are here. You have done some research. You were telling me off air of Miss Hudson's, Jordan Hudson's, who, by the way, I guess she was 19 flying first class to Palm Beach when she happened to run into Bill Belichick. Her mom is the manager or a worker at I'm not making this up, Dan, at a sex shop in Provincetown.
Been there.
Her father is a...
To the sex shop?
That's right. Her father, I believe, was in the fishing business. I'm sure wonderful people, no slight on them, but certainly not first class to Palm Beach people. Well, she was a college student. The story is her and Bill. She made a big mistake challenging this interview. So now we are to believe, now that I've looked into it, that they met flying first class to Palm Beach while she was a college student. What college student is flying alone to Palm Beach? And how is one whose one mom is a manager of a shop of any kind, and the other one is a fisherman in a struggling Maine fishing economy, which is not his fault, but just is the reality of the situation? How is one flying first class?
Maybe they have a second home down in Palm Beach.
Or maybe she was going to Mar-a-Lago with her boyfriend, Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
What's more, do you think, Dan, realistic? That a 19-year-old college kid at Bridgewater State, regardless of the school, but it's not like a Harvard student
Great
with
school.
a lot of money. It's a great school. Bridgewater State, whose parents are of modest means, is flying to Palm Beach first class for some activity of their own, or that she is flying first class with Bill Belichick to go to Mar-a-Lago, the home of his friend Donald Trump.
I don't ask John.
Dan, what would you think is more likely? You can answer this question. What do you think is more likely? It's not a sexual question. What do you think is more likely?
Yeah, Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
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 Is that your theory?
I don't know about the Mar-a-Lago part, but when I was 19 and my dad was a vice president of an ad firm, and I did not fly first class anywhere, let alone to Palm Beach. And I went to school in Florida. I hadn't been to West Palm Beach until this year. And I lived in the Keys. Seeking arrangements, Dan. Google it. That's all I got to say. And now you've done some research, Kendra, and one of the great things is the right-wing beliefs of one Jordan Hudson, and two, the famous mermaid photo was not the first time Jordan has posed on the beach as a mermaid on social media. That has happened before, Jordan. That has happened.
Oh, boy.
You're much more
boy.
attractive.
Oh,
You're much
boy.
more attractive and way smarter.
I'm also, no offense to her, not an escort. So.
All right. Well, that is your opinion of the situation.
I have to say, I have changed my mind about this. I thought that she was just, some girl that Bill was hung up on because she was hot and young and willing to do the thing. I respect her. I have to say, I didn't know she knew ball like that. She comes across like she's really dumb, but the fact that she has gotten a $9 million real estate portfolio out of this, I have to clap her up. I'm sorry. Good for her.
Okay, so
she's playing ball.
So she's also playing ball by blowing up her public image.
Fine.
You know she wants to be famous.
Dude, there's probably nothing I wouldn't do for a $9 million real estate portfolio.
Yes, there is.
Oh, I don't know, man.
You would like your mom to call you in the morning and go, and you would have to, and she goes, "What are you doing today?" And she's like, and you would be like, "I'm having sex with Bill Belichick."
If I could retire my mother, yes.
Oh, Kendra. Your generation. There is literally no moral. There is no moral compass.
Would you not?
No. No. First of all, I don't know the fetishization of like wanting to have sex with a 19-year-old when you're old.
I am not even 30, and you must be 25 to ride this ride at this point.
I don't understand like why like the dudes even in the beginning were like, oh yeah, well that's what you like, good for Bill, like as if I don't understand why that's so desirable. Like what about a 19-year? And I truly swear to God I mean this. What is different between a 19-year-old and a 35-year-old woman?
So much.
No, in terms of like, why is the 19-year-old supposed to be so much more attractive? Like, why is the 35-year-old not more attractive?
I can tell you why, because I think, and this is just from personal experience, I think that it is because women at that age, one, obviously they are barely legal, but two, they're not as confident in themselves. You can easily take advantage of someone like that. They haven't quite figured out how to advocate for themselves or anything like that. So it's more so just they are easier to take advantage of.
But I'm talking about, why is that a trophy? Like, why automatically, like when Bill first started this relationship, which was a relationship, why is it like, wow, Bill's the best? He's got himself like a girl in her early 20s. Like, why is that like a trophy for a guy to hold? I'm being dead serious. Like, I don't know why that's like, oh, every guy wants that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's true. I think some guys want that, but some guys like big fat girls, Like, there's like certain fetishes people have, but I don't think that it's like a universal thing that every guy automatically wants like a 21-year-old because they go, hey, look at this 21-year-old I got. I don't believe that to be true.
I also think it was the perfect storm of everything kind of working out in the favor of their story, regardless of how they met, right? Like, she's from up here. She's very involved politically in Maine in a way that, aligns with Belichick's, kind of political views.
Yeah, Bill's an idiot.
Exactly. Yeah, she's easily influenced, and I think that it was genuinely just the perfect storm of, we can make this story work out because.
And they were at seeking arrangements at the same time. Now, Adam, yesterday you brought up a kind of dominating called what?
Findom.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure Kendra is familiar with
Oh,
Findom.
yeah.
Okay, so explain what Findom?
Findom, yes.
It's short for financial domination.
Okay, now explain.
I have talked to you about this
You
before.
have, but
Yes.
not on air.
Okay.
I've given you this, lots of money just to talk to me. No, so seriously, explain Findom. I swear on a Bible I didn't know what findoming was. What is findom?
So
I didn't know the term, but you have described it to me. Go ahead.
So basically, financial domination is a kink that men have where they get off to watching their bank account drain, specifically to younger women. I don't know what it is about that kind of getting off to watching money get out of your bank account. I think it's like the panic and the scramble you have to fill your bank account again. But basically, it is when men pay women to either degrade them, bully them, or just maybe in some certain cases speak to them for money, and they give them large sums of money just to do either degrade them or just speak to them on the daily. It's called financial domination, and it's literally a kink where men get off to watching their bank account be drained and bullied.
Now, I will ask both Adam and Kendra, is this a product of the internet?
Yes, 100%. And it's also, I would say, and Kendra, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this too. I think it's also a symptom of that thing that happens when someone amasses so much wealth and in doing so is able to do pretty much anything that they want. They run out of indulgences. They run out of things that they can indulge in that will kind of get them off, if you will. And this is kind of the next level of that. It's like, okay, well, why don't I turn that on its head? And now instead of using this massive wealth I have to seek out pleasure, I will give it over to somebody else and see what that's in.
Is there career domination where you let the woman come in and run your life and dramatically ruin it? Is that something that goes on as well?
I think Bill Belichick is probably at this point addicted to whatever chemical is released in his brain with stress, right? Because you got to think about how stressful it is to coach, how that environment puts a lot of stress on you. And he's been out of it for a while, to the point where I think that he is just craving that sort of chaos. And that was something that he maybe wasn't expecting Jordan to do, but she wound up doing for him. And he just got so lost in the shuffle and gave her too much of the reins. I honestly think that he is so old enough at this point that his family should consider a conservatorship.
Well, I think, Kendra, and I have heard through the grapevine, his family is not overly thrilled with this.
No, his daughter-in-law made a comment on I think it might have been the CBS or NBC post.
It was the Edelman post. Edelman did because he's an idiot. Edelman said that this is what, or Nikki Glazer said, this is what publicists do, even though they don't. And as someone who's interviewed thousands of people, I can tell you, maybe twice in my life as a publicist, and certainly not unless I was being, and it had to have been with a big celebrity being way over the line, did a publicist. Well, think of all the Stern interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did Stern get people in incredibly uncomfortable conversations, and a publicist run in and start saying stop? Like, it just doesn't happen. But Nikki Glazer said something, and then Steve Belichick's wife said they don't end interviews and act unprofessional. All right.
Have you seen that she's trying to turn his Super Bowl memorabilia into crop tops?
No. Explain.
Yes. So I guess some of the jerseys from the Super Bowls that they have won, she has openly said that she wants them to make into crop tops to mix into her wardrobe.
Goodness Lord. Boy, oh boy. How does it end?
I think either the family gets involved or Bill dies. No offense.
Okay, so the family gets involved, and then what's her first stop? And what does she say?
Every talk show she can find.
The first stop is who's your daddy? And she sits down.
I don't think Alex would have her on.
Ooh, okay, interesting. So her first is a podcast, obviously, or maybe it's like a serious news show.
I was gonna say I think that's more likely because I don't think Alex Cooper would entertain that. Alex is very much
very good. Okay, it wasn't an insult to.
No, I know.
I thought I was kind of speaking of how big it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Maybe she does a news because there's two ways. Because John was the first to bring this up. There's no way out. It's short of death. So so she goes to a news show and she says how terrible he was.
Talks about his proclivities in bed, whatever the case may be, as dirty as she can get.
Well, that's the other way.
Yeah.
She goes on a news show and she goes how terrible it was, and she might play victim like everyone was making fun of me, and
or he took advantage of me,
and he took advantage of me,
right?
Or she goes podcast route and talks about their sex life and how he had to inject his penis to get aroused and things like that. Like if that was the case.
But the bottom line is, Kendra, there's no clean break. He's trapped.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Especially now that all of this crap has come out. Because of that interview, I think it made people really invest a lot of time and energy into this relationship. And I don't think that there's anything good that's going to come out of this from here because there is skeletons in this closet somewhere. Because I agree with him. If you're not willing to talk about a story that was set up for you about how you met, that's clearly not how you met.
Yeah, you don't want people looking into it. And now that I think about it, Bert said she was 19. They're flying first class. She's just happened to be flying first class to Palm Beach. And Belichick just happened to be next to her. And she happened to be doing homework on a textbook that this is how much we're into it. I love it so much. And they happen to be using a textbook that I'm told is not used in the curriculum at Bridgewater State.
Yeah.
And he just happened to sign the book. And that's how they met. She was on a first class flight to Palm Beach. Okay. That's okay.
They recreated the famous mermaid photo shoot that she had already done.
She had already done the mermaid thing, but she was in a different mermaid outfit when she had done it.
Of course.
All right, very good. Well, Kendra, you are here to talk about gambling ostensibly, and we will do so. You have a way we can fade or follow Kendra. She's going to give us the reasons, and we can fade or follow. Dan, you can play along, as you've been very engrossed in this Bill Belichick conversation. But you have gone to my side that you do not believe they met on the plane.
I don't know about that, but the whole thing makes me sad. Like I said to Kendra, I don't know how it's going to end. And what do you do if you're the family? I feel bad for
Well,
the
it's
kids.
not the family's fault, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, right?
I mean, what are you going to do? You're his kids. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can get a conservatorship, but he's not. He's going to fight that.
This is the worst possible scenario for the
and
kids.
it's not her parents' fault either. To be honest, look, man. I have a daughter who's 14. If she's 21 years old and she tells me that she's with a 78-year-old guy or something, I don't like it. But what am I going to do? Not
Fred,
talk to her anymore?
Yes, no.
But what am I going to do about it?
You stop paying for her college.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
You can do all kinds of things.
No, I could stop paying for her college, but I'm not going to not talk to her anymore. I love my daughter. I'm not going to not. There's really nothing my daughter or son could do where I would not talk to them anymore. And it's not a crime. Look, I'd hate it with every fiber of my being,
I think
and I'd want to kill the guy.
You'd hire Dan's guy from Providence.
That's right. He is connected. Okay, very good. All right. We'll leave Dan alone. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
When dealing with the issue of erectile dysfunction,
Is that Dutcher or is that Hardy?
Ina looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
All right, well.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to Toucher and Hardy. No Toucher, no Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy. Fred will return momentarily. We were talking about Bill Belichick and his relationship with Jordan.
Is it really Jordan, or do we just? Is that the
she
joke?
had in her Instagram, she has the capital O there, so that's the reason. So, are you in on this or out on this? You are for this relationship or not?
I was so anti this relationship until the real estate portfolio, and at this point, if Bill Belichick is willing to risk his career to chase some I'm all for it, honestly.
Okay.
You know what? After the real estate portfolio, you know what? I didn't know she had game like that. I respect it. I don't like her. I am very much a girl's girl. I think that this is potentially reaching the line of elder abuse, but at this point, good for her.
It looks
You're
like
acting like she was shrewd in somehow getting these funds. Felger has alluded to this behavior happening well, when Belichick was a younger man than me. I don't think what she's done is really cracking the code. I think it's been done before.
It's the oldest profession in the book.
But I think Bill's an easy mark is what the greatest thing about this, and then we'll stop talking about it, is and then you'll get a weekend without hearing me talk about it, is that all the people now that are reaching out to me saying that, no, dude, this is pretty on brand.
It's awesome.
Is the not for her, for him. Who knows about her? But I've been told that she might have been flying first class, and that Bill didn't pay for it. Maybe someone else paid for it.
Do you think
that was not her parents?
Do you
or
think
her.
that this is? I saw on Trenny's show that there were like some betting things. I tried to look into
we
it for
did.
the show.
Joe sent it to us, and we read them. That we read them. There was some funny ones, and I did it yesterday. I don't have them anymore. I threw them away. All right, but Joe did send us lines. Joe Murray. All right. Let's get to the gambling. All right, we were to fade or follow you, Dan. You play along. You seem to have checked out. All right, here we go.
Come on.
Yeah, You're really not earning the money today. You're resting on that bit.
He started thinking about P-Town and got lost.
Yeah, he did. He got a little excited about it. He thought. All right, here we go, Kendra. What are we doing here? I lost money on the Pistons last night. They were down 12 in the first half. I bet them to win outright. And they did not.
You weren't here to catch up about the draft, but did you have any draft bets?
No, thank God. I was lucky because they weren't taking that action in the Bahamas, so at the casino at the Atlantis. So I was lucky because I would have lost my ass. I had the Jets. I was going to have them taking a tight end with that.
No,
pick.
I told you it would be memorable.
No, I know. And I wasn't going to bet a lot on it. I was looking for reach, and I was going to bet Milroe going in the first round, like as a big long shot.
I put a fin on Will Campbell.
Yeah, so
wow, you really cashed in,
right?
I mean, I thought you weren't allowed to bet.
Uh-huh. No.
You got a penny. He made a penny. He got $5.01 back.
I was at the draft. It just quickly hit us some five.
Oh, that's right. You were at the draft.
Yes.
How was that?
Much better than in Detroit. And only because Detroit put it into the city, it was just jammed. You could barely move. This was spread
That was
out.
silly of them.
Yeah. And no, but I mean, it was the NFL did it. The
to
NFL
put 150,000 people into the city.
Oh.
That's more than the population. The population of Green Bay is like 100,000. My siblings were at the draft, and they said it was awesome.
It was really well done. It was very nice. Everything was great.
I just like how you're like dissing Detroit for having it in the city, which is the whole point of
the NFL. It was just hard to go from point A to point B.
All right. Well, I mean,
nothing against Detroit, Fred. Any city.
No, but that's why you would want it. It's because it brings 150,000 people into the city, and
Not
they
that
spend
way.
money.
Have you been to Green Bay?
No.
The entire town is
It's
just the
awesome.
stadium.
Yeah, I don't have
It
any.
is.
I have no desire to
Really?
go.
Like, why?
I like baseball parks, and football does not hold the same allure to me. I don't really care about going to.
Green Bay's
I like
done
the
really
cities.
well. You'd love it. It's like an old garden feel to it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't want to go there.
I had my first legal drink at Lambeau because in Wisconsin, if you're with a parent, you can legally drink whenever you want as long as your parent's there. So my mom and I went to Lambeau, and she got me a root beer and vodka.
How old? A root beer and
I was,
vodka.
like, 19.
12.
Oh,
well,
okay.
you still- that's the champagne of rural Wisconsin.
Was it at least vanilla vodka?
I don't know. I was so young.
Scoop of
My
ice
mom
cream
was
in it?
just like, "You'll be okay. Here we go."
Well, you were 19. I mean, all of us were never drinking at that point. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I made a fade or follow situation. I have 4 picks. I have some reasonings for you guys to consider and what I'm going to do, and you guys can either fade or follow me. I think I have 3 basketball, and then I have 1 racing because there is a F1 race in the States this weekend. So,
Okay.
My first one, I want to talk about the Pacers tonight to cover 7.5 versus Cleveland minus 108. I think this comes down to, are you in or out on the camp that Cleveland is overrated? I know that that's been a hot take on this station this week, is whether Cleveland is actually as good as they played in the regular season or not. They split the home and home early in the season, and the last two games kind of people were sat out to stay healthy because it was towards the end of the year. The thing to consider is the last time Indiana advanced beyond the first round in consecutive postseasons was 2013 and 2014, and the last time Cleveland did it without LeBron James on the roster was 1992 and 1993. Obviously, this is two of the league's best late game teams. I'm going to go personally with this series over 5.5 minus 115 and the Pacers to cover 7.5 tonight. What do you guys, are you fading or following those two picks?
Okay, I'm going to fade the 7.5 tonight because I think Cleveland is looking to blow everyone out. I think that their goal is to make a statement throughout this playoffs. I don't think Indiana, I know people like Indiana. I don't think that they are anywhere in the same league as Cleveland. In the 5.5, you got that. I'm surprised that's what it is. So you like that going 6?
Yeah, I think it's a 6-game series.
You know, I'll fade you on both.
Okay.
I think it's a 5-game series. Go ahead.
Boys?
I like Indiana, and I think Rick Carlisle is a good enough head coach to be annoying and keep this close. So I will follow you. I think Indiana is going to cover, but having said that, I think Cleveland takes care of them in 5. Indiana's annoying, but Cleveland's just better.
Okay.
I'm going to fade.
Okay. I know we got to go.
What are you fading?
The 7.5.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a
5.5.
Yeah, I think it's a 5 or 4-game sweep.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think especially tonight, Cleveland comes out and looks to make a statement.
I know we got to go, so I'll do these quick. Other Celtics versus the Knicks, obviously that's a hot topic.
You don't have
here.
to go that quick. You don't have to speed up your rate of
Celtics
speech.
handled Orlando pretty easily, despite Orlando kind of giving them a tough time in the regular season. I think the thing to consider here is if you want to compare how good the Pistons are to how good the Magic are. But the thing is that the Pistons really got screwed in one game. You could argue two. So how much stock do you put in the Pistons and Orlando comparison, considering they're both super young teams? I'm going to go with this series over 5.5 plus 120. I think this is a 6-game series. If Orlando can get one, I think the Knicks can get 2.
I think that the Orlando is the worst matchup for them than the Knicks.
Yeah, far worse.
Towns is a big man as a shooter. He's not really even like a big man.
Orlando had enough big guys to be able to switch on defense. They were a lot more physical than this Knicks team. Celtics are going to win in 5 or less.
And I think the only reason they lose a game is Brunson, goes crazy
Brunson
one game.
The one game where he goes nuclear and scores 45.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what am I doing? Fading?
Do you think this goes
Paying
over?
attention.
I think
would be
the
nice.
Celtics dominate.
Okay. All right, so you're going to fade me there too. All right, and then tonight I'm going to go with the Warriors to cover 5 versus Houston. Yes, Houston had a huge home win the other night. Yes, Steph looked terrible, and yes, Jimmy looked terrible, but I don't think that happens 2 games in a row, let alone at home for the Warriors. I think Jimmy and Steph both put up 30.
Yeah, plus they didn't have to play at the end of that game.
I think Houston's a lot like Detroit. Houston's young and talented, but not ready. And Golden State only has so many of these left.
Yeah, this is
the
their
urgency
Game 7.
is there. Golden State's going to win by a lot.
I like Golden State.
Okay.
Oh, so that means I follow you?
Okay, you like, so I'm fading you there too. I think Golden State wins the game, but I think it's close. I think it comes down to
A
them
Steph
at home.
three-pointer.
Yeah, I think it comes down to much like Brunson with that 3. That, Golden State's got guys that can perform in the clutch. They've done it before, and Houston doesn't. I do like Golden State at home tonight, but not my number.
What's the series?
So I would go with Kendra on
3-2
everything because I
Golden
faded
State.
her on
I
everything.
mean, what's the betting odds on the series if there's a Game 7?
I didn't look into it, to be honest.
Do you have a Kentucky Derby bet?
So I was going to say no, but I am going to a huge Kentucky Derby party tomorrow. My strategy for betting the Kentucky Derby is, 1, I will bet a show, which is like the top 3. And then what I will also do is I will look at the midfield and pick the most.
Are you wearing a hat to this party?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Why? You don't like the
dress up
hats?
like an idiot? No, please
Are the
come on.
gentlemen
You know what,
going to be
Kendra?
wearing seersucker suits and stuff?
The girl that I travel with. It's her biggest party of the year. Every single year, you're not allowed. It's an open house, but you're not allowed in the door if you're not dressed up.
And so you have to wear like a seersucker suit if you're a
You know
guy?
what, Kendra? Have a good time. Don't
Thank
worry
you.
about them.
Thank you.
I can see
It's
the
fun.
girl with the hat because women or whatever.
I don't have a hat. I have a clip.
like a big flower clip.
The guys with the seersucker suits, it's like you went out and bought a suit for this. I find that annoying.
You just have to wear bright colors. You don't have to wear a seersucker.
That's right, Santa Claus.
And then my last thing, because there is a Formula One race in the States this weekend in Miami, it is when all the stars come out. I was going to say this might feel like a little bit of a steep price considering Max hasn't had the Max Verstappen. Everyone knows that name, which is why I decided to bring a Max bet. I'm going to go with him to finish top 2 in the sprint race specifically. Throughout the F1 calendar, there are weekends what's called a sprint race where you can get extra points on a shorter race, and then they have the regular race as well. So it's more how quick can you do this one little, couple laps, and then the longer race on Sunday. So I'm going to go with Max to finish top 2 minus 105. He's consistent. He's turned the car around the last couple races, but most importantly, he had his first child born yesterday. World champion with a kid born, got something to fight for in a car that's finally turning around. Give it to me.
Why is he racing and not bonding with the child? These are days he'll never get back.
He got to skip media day because of it, and he hates doing the media, so I think that he's,
going to win one for the child.
Yeah, at least top 2 in the sprint race.
And then maybe in 19 years, that child will be dating a 73-year-old feet first baby. All right, very good. Thank you, Kendra, for all the information with betting and the whole fin-doming thing. We've learned so much. How can people find you on the internet there, Kendra?
If you would like to have me bully you for money, you can message me at Kendra Middleton. Everywhere but Twitter, it's Kenny with an I Middleton.
Because people will send you pictures and they'll say, tell me why this is insufficient, correct?
Do not send me any photos without a Venmo. That's all I'll say.
Right, but it has happened in the past.
I'll put it online.
All right.
I will dox you. I'll find your internet. I swear to God.
Okay, you have done that in the past.
I've seen the videos. Yes, I have.
All right. There you go. Kendra Middleton will be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub.
and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
But I will be with him, and there's a chance I will see Dan Roach on Sunday.
Oh.
As I am taking my son to the Worcester, the Woo Sox. I'm going all the way to Worcester. Look at me.
The Toledo Mud Hens.
Yeah, I don't care about that so much, but I will be going to Worcester for the first time, and you might be at the Polar Park.
Try. I got to see what the Celtics are doing.
Now, are you going there for work or for pleasure?
Celtics?
No.
Oh.
Worcester.
Oh, it'd be pleasure.
So you're just going to go by yourself?
Maybe.
Were you
there?
Were you? Oh, you're going for me.
Yeah.
Dan, you're chewing gum?
That's nice.
Yeah.
Dan. Dan.
Good grief.
We're on the air,
Sorry.
Dan.
It's to control. It's a form of opiate control.
Oh, I see.
It's like sub. It's
So they do
Subudox.
Nicorette, but for opiates? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
it's like what is it? Subudox. It's like one of those
Oh,
things.
yeah, sure.
Like he was
Sorry.
at one point in the morning he gets these cravings.
He's
he gets
getting a little loose at the end of the Friday show.
Yeah,
you know?
during Kendry just completely stopped paying attention. All right. So there is a chance that I will see both Adam and Dan in two separate social gatherings. This is quite, and isn't John the odd man out? All right. Are we doing the thing that we normally do?
Well, no. What I'll do instead of you guys asking me what I will do, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with my weekend because I do have plans other than going out with you tonight, which I'm very much excited about.
Okay.
But today is Bandcamp Friday. I'm a big proponent of the streaming service Bandcamp.
Okay, Adam.
Because they do a wonderful job of making sure that the artists that put their content on Bandcamp are compensated well.
Right.
And that's year
And
round.
I need to be compensated for the radio show.
That's right. But you see, this is a Bandcamp Friday, and it's a special thing because only a few times a year on the first Friday of the month, if you anything you purchase on Bandcamp Friday, all of the proceeds go to the artists and the labels. So I have a little shopping list that when I get off the air today, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy all these little songs and singles.
May
and
I
records.
suggest Metallica?
Yes, they need that money.
Yeah, please.
I'm
if you
probably
could.
going to buy
the
new
Rolling Stones
Bob Mould album because we're going to see him tonight. I've been listening to it. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan.
And so you're just going to buy him to give him money. I already paid for these tickets, Adam.
Yes.
Like I've already given him money.
That's a good point. So maybe I can reallocate that money to another artist who might need it more. Good,
yeah,
thank
that's
you.
right.
I appreciate
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
See, you're on board.
I'm
with
on
this.
board. Bob Mould's got our money.
And then speaking of putting your money in the right place, tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day, which is always the first Saturday of May. You can go and support your local independent comic book store. Most of these stores have all sorts of giveaways, free comic books, hence the name of the event.
Now, how is this something that you feel necessary to speak of?
Because it's supporting small businesses.
How'd you find out about it?
I don't know. He is such a weirdo with it's one thing if you got to go on about a charity every now and again, but now it's like let's give bands money.
What was the last comic book that you bought?
Yeah, for yourself.
So I haven't bought it yet. I'm hoping to pick it up tomorrow. But there's a new comic book coming out on the Image imprint that has to do. It's a zombie apocalypse motif, but instead of zombies, it's vampires.
So
And
now everyone
all of
needs
the
to buy comic books to make the world a better
check this
place.
out. All the survivors in the world are in Vatican City because it's all holy ground, and the vampires can't come there. You see, so they're trying to survive. It's cool.
Well, our own Cadillac is going to Vatican City.
He'll
and
be checking in with us next week.
He'll be checking in with us. By the way, on Monday on the show, if you're still listening after Adam's horrible monologue.
See you at Jetpack Comics tomorrow, Rochester, New Hampshire. I'll see you there.
Jesus
That's where I'll
Christ,
be.
Adam.
Hell, you will. You're not going to
I'm
Rochester.
going
people
Rochester
pay
tomorrow.
for advertising on this station.
Yeah. Go on, Frank.
The guy from the Boston Pops is going to be here.
Keith Lockhart.
Keith Lockhart. But we have a super group of Nicholas, John Wallach, and Adam who are going to be being conducted with their various instruments by Mr. Keith Lockhart.
Wow. Right. Of the Boston Pops.
That is going on Monday.
Monday morning at 9.
And if you have a kid that at a weird age, please, we're a little desperate here. Go to 985thesportsup.com. You could come in on Tuesday. Yes.
Two
Dan.
things, Fred. All access with Zoe and Company on WBZ tonight at 7. And second of all, the president of the Woo Sox, Charles Steinberg, just checked in with me. Would you like to throw out the ceremonial first pitch on Sunday?
Wow.
Can my son? Can I go on with my son? Can my son
Sure.
do it?
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Look at me, making me feel like a star.
Look at this.
That's an honor. It
Zoe
really
did
is.
it. Zoe
It
did
really is. It's an honor. Let my son do it though. He won't get
Both
the
of you
yips.
do it together. Aim high.
We'll do it together, righty lefty.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Very good. Well, that's very nice of him. That's actually very nice. Thank you, Dan. Dan's very good to my son. In all seriousness, Dan has been very helpful with guiding my son in some of these endeavors. So I would like to thank you for that sincerely, Dan.
You're welcome, Fred.
I appreciate it. And that's quite an honor in all seriousness. I do think
Thanks for
that.
making me feel uncomfortable.
You just can't let it go, can you? Dan's going to be furiously masturbating in his car on the way home to Andover, ladies and gentlemen.
Carl Yastrzemski.
Yeah, that's what he wants you to think he's thinking about. Amputees. All right, very good. Thank you, Dan. I was very sweet to you, and then you had to ruin it. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone have a great day. Bye.